welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
Sam Master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
Welcome to another edition of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. We are on episode number 170. As always, you can give this podcast a listen on SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm not going to lie, I'm going to butcher this intro. This is a very informal episode. We did not plan on recording this at all. But it's happening right now. Give us a look on social media at the Dojo Talk Podcast Facebook page as well as the Instagram page. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Serial Sensei. And you can also follow my co-host on Twitter at GC Zeus. Speaking of my co-hosts, I am once again joined with the Anti-Cool. We are recording a very impromptu episode of the podcast. How are you doing today, sir?
I am, I'm doing good. I'm just going around, high-fiving people, licking the doorknobs of cars, not my car, other people's cars. I do have a slight cough. And I do feel a little warm, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
I've been walking around slapping people in the back of the forehead.
I might be coughing on your some children later. It's a good quality fun.
Slap you in the back of the neck and just run down the aisle.
I'm stealing water from old women as they try to go to their cars in the shopping parking lot.
Oh, man.
It's just good, wholesome, old American fun.
It's real out here, man. it's real out here. But, as you guys maybe can tell, didn't plan on recording this episode at all. And what would have been a normal life, we would be chilling until UFC 249, and then we would have recorded that episode, and then we would have came back for our final little bonus episode.
I mean, we probably would have been watching, or it might have been over by now, but we probably would have been watching Leon Edwards and Tyron Woodley stare at each other.
Right. Yeah. Point is, this podcast would have been ending next month. But due to the situation of the world right now with a little corona running around, this may extend the life of this podcast. I'm gonna let y'all know now. It's gonna be a mixture of jokes and seriousness because this is serious. But we still gotta get some of these jokes off because I have to use humor to keep me from going crazy. But little Corona came through, messed the game up, has the world just in a frenzy. And I figure, a lot of people just kind of want an escape, something to listen to for maybe an hour a day, just take you away from the madness. And I feel like if I can provide that on any kind of level as a podcaster, then why not do it? So, I don't know how much longer we're going to carry on this. I don't know what our coming episodes will be, or if there'll even be episodes. We have some other ideas we're kind of floating out there. So,
I just want to point out, I just want you to say so badly, we won't stop until Ferguson Khabib happens, and then it just never happens.
I was thinking that, that was really the mark of when that fight happens, that was going to be my realization that, this podcast is really ending, that was it. And then this happens, and it's maybe it's not, I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore. So I don't know, man. You guys got us. We'll be here. Like I said, I don't know if there'll be episodes every week, but you guys will have this episode, and we have some other ideas of other things we may try and float out there, see if we can.
Fuck it, I don't got shit to do no more.
Right? We don't got nothing to do.
We can record every day.
I know a lot of y'all ain't got nothing to do. It's a whole lot of just sitting in the house going on around right now. But
there's a whole lot of podcasts being recorded right now.
Yeah. But real quick, well, I guess real quick before we get started, I want to dedicate this episode everybody who's working at a grocery store, everybody who's working at a hospital, all of the quote-unquote essential personnel, teachers, everybody who's out here just kind of keeping the country afloat right now.
The only people actually working right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm working, but I'm not none of them. I'm not really important. The world doesn't really need my job, but my job needs my job, I guess. So I'm still crunching numbers. But nah, man. Shout outs to y'all, man. Y'all are literally keeping the world just afloat while this while the Rona just kind of goes around and just wreaks havoc and causes all kind of pandemonium and whatnot. But so yeah, like I said, this episode is gonna be a little informal. We might be a little all over the place. So I'll try to keep it somewhat on track. But as far as the outline of the show,
one of us has to.
Yeah. We'll talk about the UFC Brasilia card. Maybe won't spend a whole lot of time on it, but we're just kind of winging it. But we'll talk about notes from the UFC Brasilia card. Oliveira versus Lee. We'll talk about the UFC London debacle and maybe discuss like what we think the UFC should do moving forward. And then I have like one thing of news to get to. I did not list fight announcements because honestly at this point we don't know if any of those are real. Like I don't care if who is fighting who when we don't know if any of these cards are even going to happen when they're supposed to happen. So I didn't write down any fight announcements.
There is I'm not going to say there's a good chance, but there is a chance that we might have seen our last UFC card of 2020.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I don't know what I don't know what the odds are of that, but like that's a real possibility.
Dana is trying hard, but at this point, he's gonna have people fighting in just basements of people's houses. Like
he's just gonna fight. Okay, what's the one country in the world that doesn't have the coronavirus right now? God, what's the name of that country? Micronesia.
We'll bring it there.
Yeah, it's just like fuck it.
We'll bring it there and destroy everything they've had, everything they've worked hard to build. But yeah. So this, we'll talk a little bit of fighting, a little bit of news, a little bit of Rona. Be a lot going on. We'll try to keep you guys entertained and all the madness. But I guess for our first segment, and real quick, shout outs to the listeners. Shout outs to y'all. Appreciate you. Wasn't sure I'd be talking to y'all this soon, but while we're here, might as well go ahead and share with a friend. Let them know that there's one podcast on Earth that's still recording something. Thanks to the wonderful advancements of technology, we can record and not have to be in the same room.
As we are every other week.
Yeah. Because I know some other podcasts. And shout out to all the podcasters out there who are still like trying to make it happen. Because I listen to podcasts a lot to kind of keep my days floating along. And I know for a lot of podcasts I listen to, it's been hard for people to record because a lot of them are actually in like actual studios, and now they can't be in studios because there's too many people and you have to find like alternative setups. So I'll just say for any podcasters listening, if you want to know what we do, because I think our audio is solid, listen, man, just get on Skype. They have a record option. You can record the call over Skype. Probably best to have you in a little USB microphone to make sure your quality is pretty decent. And just record through Skype, man. That's what we do every week. It's not an elaborate setup at all. And then you can just export it, chop your audio up however you need to in whatever software you use, and do what you do. Just want to throw that option out there. But shout out to all the podcasters who are still putting out content, because God knows y'all have helped me tremendously this last week, because it's been a week. And with that being said, we normally do our What's on Your Mind segment, and we're just going to make that segment about the Rona. Um, we're just gonna.
what else could possibly be on anybody's mind right now?
Yeah. We're just gonna jump right into it. So I'll start and ask you first. When did this hit you? Like, oh, this is like a real thing now. Like it's kind of a big deal.
Okay, so I actually wrote like a whole thing, and it actually starts with the event that clicked it off in my head. That something might be terribly wrong, but I don't know how to put into context. And I'm on Reddit a lot during the day because I sit at a desk waiting to help people who need help at the library. And it's I go on Reddit a lot. I read the news. I'm on the politics board and the less real worldy boards. I guess I'm on MMA. But I don't know what compelled me to do this, but I was on the World News board subreddit, and I saw something where the headline was basically "City of 35 million people quarantined." I was like, that can't be good, because I don't know a lot about viruses. I don't know a lot about germs and bacteria. But I do know that, like, unlike, say, HIV, you really don't need to be in that much contact to get something,
Right.
So I was like, that can't possibly be good if they have to quarantine this entire city of 35 million people. And they're probably not going to be able to do that because, like, it's 35 million people. And yeah, I know it's China, but that can't be good. But it didn't really start to click in my head that it was like an issue until I started reading. Well, not like, I shouldn't say. I didn't think it was a problem that would affect my life. Until we heard about the cancellations in late February. Did we talk about this, or did they happen afterwards?
No, I don't think, like, it was a thing the last time we recorded, but it wasn't like.
Which was only 2 weeks ago, by the way.
Yeah, but it wasn't at the height. Like, this happened so fast. Like,
right.
it escalated really, really quick.
As it does with things that are with viruses, but the thing I think that really just put it at the forefront of my mind was one championship back in February. They had their card one King of the Jungle. That was I can't remember for the life of me where it was supposed to be held. Was it the Century card was earlier that month too, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So it was actually that one. Because that's around the time I was like, are you still gonna have it? Are you still gonna have it? And then like a week or two later, they had the King of the Jungle announcement where they were going to have the card, but they were not going to have any fans in attendance. I was like, that's different, and I think that's when I realized it was like a real thing, or like it was a thing that was going to spread.
Yeah, kind of the same for me. The cancellations is what definitely rose a finger, and probably like a lot of people. When I think I was about to go to sleep that day. I was like right about to go to sleep, and the last notification I got from ESPN was the Oklahoma City game and the Utah Jazz game has been canceled. And I was like, what happened here? And then I found out it got canceled right before tip-off, and I was like, oh, that's not good. Like, I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, props to the doctor. I forgot the name. Who literally just ran out on the floor and was like, "Yeah, no, we're not."
Yeah, he was like, "Nah, yeah, shut it down." And that was the start of it. And I was like, "Okay, all right, this is going somewhere, not good."
This is all Rudy Gobert's fault. That's what we're saying.
We'll get there to him. Ah, God, that. Everybody on the team has to shoot the fade with him. Everybody got to line up just in a row. He just have to fight the whole team. But we'll get to Rudy. But that text or that notification, and then when I woke up and saw that the season was like canceled, and like we live in America. Not that I don't want to make this political, but it's gonna get there. We are capitalists. Where there is money to be made, we will make money, and it don't matter what loopholes we got to go through to make it. We are going to make money, and that is from billionaire companies to the little companies that you and I may work for. Like, if there's a chance to make money, they're making money, and they don't care who they got to step on, or what they got to do to make it. So when I saw the NBA, which is like $1 billion corporation, like shut down the season, I knew this was serious. That's a lot of money to lose to not play any games, to not, and I know they were floating around the idea of, we might do this with no fans, or, we'll try to move it to another location, so on and so forth. When they canceled the whole season, I was like, oh, this is a big deal. Because, like I said, all these professional sports leagues, they're all about money. Like, so if they were willing to cut down a whole season and lose out on all that money, I was like, okay, this is real. This is a thing now. This is a huge deal. And that's when it kind of really hit me. And then it hit me again at my job when I ain't gonna put it out there, but things happened at my job. Offices start to get a little more empty every day. Next thing I know, I'm working from home, which now I'm currently doing day 2 working from home. I can't say that I'm a big fan. I'm very thankful, though, that I can work. But I'll tell you, working from home is not as fun as it sounds.
It is not.
It's not, yeah. You just kind of stare at a screen and crunch numbers all day. It's not as fun as it sounds. And I won't get into specifics about my job because I'm not going to put everything out there like that. But, yeah, it got real really quick. Like, from the time that NBA news hit till the rest of that week, it was just nonstop coverage. It's coronavirus, what's happening, who's doing what, are we going on lockdown? And then, you start hearing companies sending people home, and then next thing I know, I'm packing up my computer from my desk at work, and I'm transporting it back to the living room in my house, where I'm now working until God knows when. Don't know when I'm going back to the office.
Yep. Same.
Yep. So.
Same. Yeah. And I don't know if we're going to get to... Well, I guess we can save it for later, because we're going to talk about what was supposed to happen today with UFC London.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll save that for a separate...
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll save what I wrote for that. But, just, I've seen the ripple effect of, response from, people like me and you who are like, okay, this is a real thing, to people who are a little farther ahead of us in terms of being freaked the fuck out, to people who are like that kid in that one video who just is like, fuck it, if I die, I die, and he had to go to Miami for spring break, which, I fucking hate because I got family down there. Again, I live in a hotbed for cases, so I can't really talk much. And it's really... We talked about it before this show, and we don't have to get into it much here because this is an MMA podcast and not a podcast about analyzing, the socioeconomic systems that make up this country. But, we're not really built for, community, are we?
This made me realize there's a lot we're not built for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but on an interpersonal level, we're really just not built to help people we don't know.
My first thought when it really became real, and that first day when I actually went to the, and this happened at the worst time. Like, this legit happened at a time where I was legit running out of toilet paper and like Lysol. Like, it was about that time where I needed to re-up.
Mm-hmm.
And that first day when I went out to the store and like tried to get some, and I'm looking at the shelves, I'm like, oh my God, there's nothing here. And then like the thought I had that whole week about realizing like how many of these, and like I said, because this could turn into a long conversation about politics, about how this country is just kind of set up and run, and what systems work and what don't. And I think we are, if you haven't seen what systems don't work, I don't know what you've been watching, because this is all failing. This is, I ain't say all of it, but there are a lot of flaws right now that are being exposed in how this country is just kind of run. And my first thought was, if this was like a, not to say the coronavirus isn't serious, but if this was like a movie situation where it was like one of those like super deadly viruses that like it would just kill you, like if it was one of those, oh, we would have been done. We would be out of here.
I do. If we had to go through like the Spanish bird flu again, like we're up to like what, 10,000 cases in the United States, something like that.
Yeah, something around that.
Like half those people would probably be dead.
Yeah. And for a number of reasons. For one, we can't handle simple instruction, and it's crazy with this because literally the instruction they're telling you is to not do anything. Just don't go anywhere, or like, you know, you do your essentials, like go to the grocery store, you know,
then go home.
Yeah, go to the bank, go to the doctor, and that's it. Those are 3 places you can go. Those are very simple, easy instructions to follow. And it seems like we all can't even get on one accord with that. And it's like, if we can't agree to these simple things on one accord, then this might get a lot worse before it gets better.
Oh, it's gonna get a lot worse.
It's gonna get a lot worse. And not to stay on this for too long, but my whole fear was never the virus itself, and it's still not the virus itself. It's people. Like, I know the virus is serious, and I definitely don't want no smoke. I don't want no parts of that. I don't keep the Rona away. Rona got to go to another corner somewhere, chill out. Don't bother me.
I mean, yeah, like getting the flu sucks.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think I'm gonna die if I get it. I'm gonna have faith that all these fruits and vegetables and push-ups I've been doing, they better amount to something. My body better fight this off if I get it. I'll be pissed. I'll be pissed if I've been eating all this healthy stuff and my body can't fight the Rona. Oh, no, not having it. But it's just like, it's people that bother me. And if you're one of those people who thinks like, oh, this isn't serious and, you know, I'm not going to die if I catch it. And like, that might be true. You might catch it and you might be okay. And I've heard a lot of reports of people who've caught it and like, they'll be terrible for a couple of days and then they'll slowly start to get better and like, they're cool. But it's not about that. You might be okay, but the next person you transmit it to, they might not make it. Like, whoever gets it from you might not be so lucky. And that's why, like, containment is so, like, important. Just, like, stay in the house, chill out. You got ERs being overrun. You got nurses working crazy hours probably. They're trying to slow everything down.
Yeah, like, think about it like that. Like, all these people who are filling hospital beds right now, like, what happens to people who are like, who have different issues?
Right.
Like, someone who has cancer, someone who needs like life-saving surgery, someone who can't see their doctor and like develops like, you know, hardcore medical issues because their doctor's busy. And that's the other thing. Like, there's like a huge doctor shortage. Like, there was a story not too long ago about 2 Jersey doctors who, well, I should say, one was from Jersey, one's from Washington, I believe, who both caught the virus, just helping people. And one of the poor dude was like 70 years old. He's still out here trying to help people. Like, the point is to flatten the curve so that we can deal with the cases as they pop up in a timely manner and not just completely kill a large percentage of the country unnecessarily.
Right.
So like they set up a testing drive-through place by my in my county over there at the Bergen Community College, and like I saw a line of like 600 people just like on video just waiting to get in there, and like it's all up and down the road, and it's a long ass road. It's just like most of y'all definitely don't need to be there. Like I understand you're scared. I understand that like you don't you want to make sure you're safe, but like you're taking up time and you're taking up resources that somebody else might need. And like I'm not saying you shouldn't go get tested if you think if you're displaying symptoms, but like don't go just because you're scared.
Which also ties into this is the reason why like now is not a good time to like panic and hoard.
That too.
Bro, like y'all are out here, toilet paper aside, because that's crazy. I don't know how many times y'all really need to use the bathroom like that. But like the picture I saw with the lady, she had like 9 gallons of milk. Like, ma'am, 9 milks. All those are gonna go bad at the same time, right?
Yep.
And like I ain't trying to be all up in your house, but like, can your refrigerator hold all them gallons of milk? Like, where you like, like when people panic, they do wild, just dumb, inexplainable, just I don't know. You know, y'all keep buying the regular milk. I got my almond milk. I don't know, man. This is craziness. I made it to Walmart today. Got me a little bit of food. I just needed some frozen veggies to hold me over for a little bit. But, you know what I'll say, because I don't want to be all negative. I'm lucky that, and I can only speak for what I've seen in person. You can definitely tell, like, the cashiers are going through it. Like, people they look tired, they look worn down. But I've been lucky in what I've seen in the stores that I've been to that, like, people have actually been nice. People have been friendly. I haven't seen no fights. Nobody's pushing anybody over for the last frozen chicken or like anything crazy. So I'm like, I'll throw that out there. At least the people I've seen in person where I live at. Kudos to y'all. Y'all still buying a little too much, but at least people are not. You know, I haven't seen anything ugly yet. So,
I have seen people fight over toilet paper, but it's only been on Twitter. So, like, videos of people fist fighting.
Yeah.
I've also seen people committing hate crimes against Asian people.
Yeah.
Over this. So, there's that too. So don't do that. I'd like to think that the people who listen to our podcast would not, do that. But if you were considering, please don't.
Yeah, and don't come to me like one of those people are like, oh, you're still getting Chinese food? Yes, I'm going to go get orange chicken. Yes.
I mean, more people died in Italy than they do in like friggin' who died in China.
Yes. I'm going to go to my local Chinese spot. They treat me well. I like them.
You're not going to stop me from ordering my chicken parms. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. I'm going there. Yes. I'm definitely going. But yeah, man. Just y'all stay safe out there. Stay sanitized. Prayers to people who do have it, who are fighting it. Prayers to Italy, because boy, I saw an article the other day that said like 400 some people died in like one day.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
Yeah, it's getting rough out here, and I still feel like it hasn't hit for some people yet how serious this is.
Because a lot of people don't have really big social networks. They know like 5 people, and they're acquaintances with like maybe 20 other people or whatever. And like as long as those people aren't affected directly, like they have no reason to like we all live in our own little bubbles.
Right.
And and some people can't see past the end of their nose. So it is what it is.
Y'all stay safe, man. Stay sanitized out there. I could go on a whole rant about the sanitizing thing, but you know what? I'm gonna save that for another part. Some of y'all are nasty. I know this is some of y'all.
Damn it.
Yeah, I can tell this is some of y'all first time, having to use soap, and I know. Some of y'all are nasty. I'll just say when this is all over, make sure you keep washing your hands. But y'all stay safe out there, man. Stay sanitized, stay cleaned, stay inside as much as you can. And also, man, help people out, man. If you know somebody who's a little less fortunate than you, who might need, maybe they need a little bit of groceries, a little bit of something to help get them over. Because there are a lot of people out here who are vulnerable, man. Like we all know somebody who has like some health condition, and those are the people to worry for the most right now. Anybody who has any kind of underlying health condition. I have diabetics in my family. If you know anybody who's diabetic, people with asthma, people with anybody who might be like fighting cancer, like these are the people who they really can't afford to catch this. Like they really, really, really can't afford to catch this. So you know anybody, man, who's less fortunate than you, man, reach out, man. Help somebody. Help somebody else. Help somebody get by if you can. But that's at least for all the Corona talk. At least in regards to our personal lives, we'll bring it back up when we get to the UFC. But let's talk about this card first. Let's transition.
Brasilia.
Yeah, and Corona's gonna be a running theme through this podcast because it literally is affecting everything, including this card, which took place in front of nobody
in an empty auditorium.
Yes, where there were just.
Yes, because the Wednesday before, the governor of Brasilia came out and said that there would be no sporting events. And UFC was like, fine, we'll do it without a crowd. And we can talk about the ramifications of that after this card, because there were some ramifications.
Yes.
So we'll get
two people,
to
right?
that.
Two. I'll Google it while we're.
At least two people.
Yeah,
yes.
At least two people. Dana, damn it, Dana.
Yeah, and we'll get to Dana.
Yeah,
we will.
But let's keep it on positive. Try to extract the little bit of light we can get from the situation.
You say positive, but poor Kevin Lee.
Yeah. So, UFC Brasilia, headlined by Charles Oliveira and Kevin Lee. I was really stoked for this matchup. Oliveira's been on a tear lately. He's really been coming into his own. Kevin Lee coming off the big win over Gregor Gillespie, and he had the camp switch. And I really liked this match. It was a good, on paper, this just looked like an awesome matchup to make. Big fight for Oliveira, who I think deserved a name, and a good fight for Kevin Lee to kind of keep his momentum going. Well, it didn't keep going, but.
Spoilers.
But, and I'll let y'all know off the cuff, because we didn't plan on recording this episode, I didn't really rewatch any of these fights, but
I did a couple, not all of them. You couldn't pay me to rewatch Krylov versus Walker.
Yeah, we didn't need that.
Which is funny, because if you had asked me before the card, I would have been like, yeah, I would have rewatched that. It's going to last like 15 seconds.
Yeah, no, we got a long.
We got the longest fight of both of their careers.
Right. But Oliveira and Lee, man. Oliveira is just going Oliveira, apparently.
And Kevin Lee's just going to Kevin Lee.
Yeah. And when those two things happens, it's not good for Kevin Lee, because you don't want Kevin Lee to Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
Because when he does, it doesn't go well.
I feel like we should start by mentioning that Kevin Lee did, in fact, not make weight for this fight. He came in at 158.5. That was 2.5 pounds over the limit. But did not matter as he got guillotined in the third round. Which makes him... Hold up. This is his... No, he's done other. He's had other main events. So let's see. Of the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's only been twice. So of like his 6 main events, he's been submitted in the later rounds like 3 times. So this might be a pattern, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is slowly getting to that Chael Sonnen triangle territory. It's not already there yet.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Bronx, who pieced the crap out of Kevin Lee up on the feet. Which, if you had asked me before, I probably would not have expected, even though the Bronx has looked great. But I think I expected Kevin Lee to come out more like he did against Edson Barboza, where he's just, I'm going to take all your space. I'm going to force you to move backwards. I'm going to tire you out, and then I'm going to take you down and beat you up there. But that wasn't his game plan. Instead, Lee fought very timid. I'm not going to say timidly. He fought on the outside. He tried to fight behind the jab, but like a lot of it was just him jabbing, staying in place. Occasionally, he'd throw the overhand right, and it would land really nicely, but he wouldn't follow it up with anything. And Del Bronx would just go back to kick him in the stomach.
I was gonna say he probably wasn't ready for the front kicks and jumping switch kicks he was catching to the face. Like, the Bronx was really going off.
But like the thing that really caught my eye was just Oliveira was just tagging him with his hands. Like at one point in the second round, he went on a 90-second like span where he was just boxing the crap out of Kevin Lee. He must have landed almost every strike he threw. Like got him to duck underneath the jab and just tagged him with an uppercut. Countered one of Kevin Lee's jabs with an uppercut. Was just like hand fighting with him. It only ended that second round. Lee was only able to get to the ground because he shot on Oliveira as he landed a nice step in knee to the body on him. And the first round, like I don't know why, but during the fight I had it 1-1 going into the third, but like rewatching, I'm like, no, that was 2-0 Oliveira.
He beat the bricks off of Kevin Lee.
Yeah, like that first round was Oliveira just fishing for submissions for like a solid 3 to 4 minutes.
That was the only. I'll give Lee props for that. That when it did go to the ground, like up until when he got submitted, he was able to like hold his own. Because normally you go to the ground with Oliveira, it's not going to go. You're going to probably get tapped really quick.
Yeah.
And he did manage to, get himself out of some bad spots. But, yeah, like I said, once it got to the feet, which was the one area you would think he would, if not have an advantage, at least it would be like a little more even. And it just kind of wasn't. Like, he caught Oliveira with a couple of good, like, hooks. But, like, outside of that, it wasn't.
Like, he tagged him pretty well. Like, he was tagging him when he went for that takedown in the third that ended up with him getting guillotined. He was tagging the crap out of him. He was just tired. Like, Kevin Lee is a dude who fights himself tired, and then, like, he ends up making a mistake because of it. He did against Tony Ferguson. He did against RDA. He did it here.
Yeah, when he when he went for that single leg, and I saw that neck get snatched, I was like, oh boy, it's happening again.
Yep.
It's happening again. Yeah, 3 seconds later, the man is like tapping out.
Yeah, he just gets so tired and he gets sloppy on the ground. It's just like, it's normally the opposite of what happens.
But it was bad because at least like in the Ferguson fight, he got tired, but he was like doing good. Like, he was putting in some work.
Yeah, he was controlling. He was landing ground and pound. Like, I don't think he landed any significant ground and pound here.
No, in this fight, it's like he got tired because he was just getting worked. Like, he was getting battered. And like I said, he was landing a couple of good hooks that he did tag Oliveira with. But for a lot of this fight, the man, like, Oliveira was just kind of nonstop, just on him.
Which I can't say I did not expect. I think they mentioned it in the during the broadcast. Like, Charles, like, he has all these submission wins in the UFC. I think it's like 13 or 14 now. but like most of them don't come past like the second round. I think this is his first pass. No, is his second past the third or third? Oh wow, I forgot Andy Ogle went 3 rounds with him. So this is like his third past the third round. Like those other fights were fights where like if or those other fights were like 5 years ago. So like 5 6 years ago. So like I don't know. We've seen him struggle late in fights. He gassed against Anthony Pettis. He gassed against Jeremy Stevens late in their fight, but that was down at 145. Um, I don't think he didn't have time to gas against Paul Felder. So maybe he's more comfortable fighting at 155.
I think he's really coming to his own in terms of not even just like skill set, because obviously it's still weird. Like I remember watching him when he first came to the UFC, and he was just this really frail, like 19, 20-year-old, and now he's finally kind of like grown into his body a little bit.
It makes you wonder how much quicker this would have happened if he didn't try to make featherweight.
Right, he might have been here a while, or at least like his body would have been. But like he looks so much more confident now. Like when he strikes, he looks really sure of himself. He's not afraid to take a hit, which I do worry about a little bit though. After this fight, I was thinking like because I think he deserves a big. I'm ready to see him just throw him in the top 10, top 5. Let's just see what happens, man. The man's just he's been on one of them tears.
Exactly.
But I was thinking like if he fought a guy like a Poirier, and Poirier landed a clean shot like Lee was, Poirier might put him out. Like,
I mean, I think it's a good sign if only for the fact that like we had questions about his durability and his toughness for like the longest time. Like, remember the Cub Swanson knockout? Where he literally it takes a second for his body to just catch up.
Right.
And like, the whole incident with Max Holloway that turned out not to be as bad as originally thought, and it's just like so I think him being able to take punches is a positive sign. I'm right there with you. Like if he goes in there with a Poirier or like a Michael Johnson, that could be another quick night. We've seen guys like Paul Felder be able to get him out of there, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I do like that he's showing more mental toughness.
Yeah. I just think he just looks more confident. He looks like he's ready to make that leap, which is good to see, man. It's good to see. Like he's been fighting for a long time because he came into the UFC when he was really, really young. Like his first fight, I think, was in like 2009.
Yeah, he's been in the UFC since 11 years, 2 decades, 3 decades.
Yeah, been a while for him, and he's finally turning that corner. Yeah, I want to see him get like a top 5 guy next. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Poirier. I can't remember if Hooker has a fight lined up.
So apparently Poirier and Hooker were getting ready to fight in May, but they both decided not to do it because of the virus. So I don't know what's happened there.
That's what makes this card hard to talk about, because it's hard to recommend future opponents because we don't know what's really gonna happen. But if those two, if Poirier and Hooker were to fight, I wouldn't mind him getting the winner of that. I think he's earned a fight of that magnitude.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning that the Kevin Lee tonight was supposed to be Justin Gaethje. Though I think Justin Gaethje is the rightful number 1 contender for Bergs and Khabib, should that ever happen.
Yeah.
So
great win for Do Bronx, man.
Great win.
Really great win.
So I've been debating this, and has anybody shown more vulnerability in loss, like emotional vulnerability in loss, than Kevin Lee? And I don't say that to be like judgmental and be like, oh, like he's mentally weak or anything, but like that dude wears his heart on his sleeve, and just to see him after every loss, just look, he's the most. That's the dude who believes in himself, and it's like his world falls apart when he loses.
Yeah, I think I want to say I saw a headline after, like a day after, he said like y'all might not see me for a while.
Yeah, he said years. Like this man really cares about fighting. Like I was one of those people who thought the move to TriStar was a good move for him. He's got the tools to be a very GSP-ish type fighter and to fit in their mold. But Dude Bronx was not the dude to test that out against, man. Like, you want a striker for that.
Especially not this version of Dude Bronx.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Like, I can't remember the last time Anthony Pettis, I guess, somebody was able to out-grapple him for, like, long stretches of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel for Kevin Lee, man. Because it's like he's right there, but like he just can't.
He is getting in his own way.
Yeah, it's like every time you think he's about to take that, like you see like a glimpse of it, but he never quite reaches it. And yeah, it sucks, man. It does suck. Because he was a guy who, like, at first I remember when he was getting hyped, like I didn't really like believe the hype. And then I slowly like started to come around. I was like, all right, I kind of see what people are talking about. This guy is really, I see the potential. I see what other people are seeing. But it's just not, something's just not clicking. And it really sucks that he's in this division where, like, it's just not really going to get easier. This is not the division where you kind of want to be in this situation, because you can take as many years off as you want. When you come back, there's a killer waiting for you.
Exactly.
There's a killer waiting for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you do to fix Lee's game, because like a lot of it seems really broken right now. If this is really it for him for a while, then all the more to him. Hope he finds some peace.
Sometimes you might just need a hard reset. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what Corona's doing to the world right now. It's just a hard reset.
And he can focus on Keith.
There you go.
Be like, you're going to fix all my problems for me.
Hey, it might work.
You have to be the Bellator lightweight champion.
I gotta go back and watch this fight. I actually didn't get a chance to watch it.
I did, and I don't even remember if he won.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure. I think he won. I think he won a decision, I want to say. But Dude Bronx, great win. Awesome win. The man looked really good. Got tagged a couple times, but he looked great. Really great improvements. He is headed in the right direction. So shout outs to Dude Bronx. Charles Oliveira got the win via guillotine in round 3. Moving on to the co-main event. Gilbert Burns versus Damian Maia. I was conflicted in this fight. I really like Burns. Maia is just the OG, man. Like you always want to root for Maia because he still got some left in the tank, a little bit, not a lot, but he's still out here putting in work. And I like Burns, but I didn't want to see Maia go out like this. This kind of hurt. Not gonna lie. If this wasn't Gilbert Burns, I probably would hate whoever did this to Maia. Like, if this was somebody else, I'd probably hate him. But it was Burns, so I kind of let it slide, but my feelings still got hurt.
It's been a while since we've seen Maia knocked out like that, hasn't it?
Yeah. He hasn't really been knocked out that many times, has he?
Obviously there's the Nate Marquardt fight. But I can't think of anything beyond that where he...
Yeah, like, he's not a guy we really see catch, like...
Yeah, for a guy who's touted as, like, a terrible striker.
He doesn't get knocked out.
Like at all. Like this is the second time he's ever been knocked out.
Yeah,
And I
I
will remind everybody that he outboxed Colby Covington while he had energy.
yes, in round 1. Like he boxed the life out of that man.
Yeah.
If Damian Maia was about 5 years younger, he'd have beat the bricks off of Kobe. Yeah, nah. Just for the dude who was a little younger, a little faster. He tried to, I think he tried to snap the jab at him and got countered.
Yeah, he got countered with a nice left hook over the shoulder.
Yeah, and I mean, to his credit, like when he went down, I didn't think he was immediately out because he to me he did look like he still kind of had his wits about him, like he was looking up. But when he ate those extra like 4 to 5 shots when Burns followed up, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's done. He's done.
Yeah. Props to Burns.
Another guy who, like Oliveira, like started off as just kind of like I can strike a little bit, but it's mostly my grappling you need to worry about. And he also, like Oliveira, his striking has gotten so much better over the years.
Yep. Just like solid. He moved up a weight and this was happening down at 155. I remember him giving Alban Mercier issues on beating him primarily on the feet. I mean, he had knocked out Jason Sago, Darren. He's gotten technically better as time has gone on, and you mix that with a guy he's not afraid to go to the ground. He's he went to the ground here with Maia. It was not by choice. He got taken down.
But Maia had his back.
Yeah, and what does he do? He calmly gets Maia off his back. That sequence on the ground where he's in half guard and Maia's on top of him trying to pass to get to the side control, just wrapping up his legs, and then again just shuffling them over his head so that he can go up for the double leg. He did it twice. That's also how he got him off his back. It's just some really slick shit. How many people have we seen do that to Maia?
Yeah, that's a rarity. And that was the moment where I realized, oh, Maia's in trouble.
Yeah.
Because Burns got up. Yes, and that's not going to go well from here. Yeah, he didn't panic at all. He didn't make any wrong moves. He knew what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. Kid's a stud, man. He's a stud. Mm-hmm. His stint at 170 is going better than I thought it would.
He's now a top 5 fighter.
Yep. Yeah, not much to break down in this fight. It didn't last that long, and Maia got knocked out. It's not a lot to break down.
Neither is the next one, to be honest.
Well, I was gonna say real quick before we move on to the rest of this, because the rest of this main card ain't a whole lot to. Well, shout out to Trinaldo. He put in some. We'll get there. But in regards, real quick, to the main event and co-main event, because I wrote this down in my notes, and I wanted to just bring this to the table. Do you believe, and not saying that it has to happen within the next year, but do you think either Burns or Oliveira are championship material?
Well, it's difficult for Burns because he trains out of the same gym as Usman, doesn't he? Or is he an ATT guy?
I can't remember. I want to say ATT, but don't quote me. I could be completely wrong.
No, he's a Hard Knocks guy, so he does train with Usman and them. I think what can he beat Colby Covington? Because that's the benchmark, right?
I think he can.
I don't know how he does in the 5-round fight with a guy who can put that type of pace on. I'm confident enough in him getting up when he gets taken down. And I'm confident enough in him, having the technique to keep Colby off of him. But can he do it for 25 minutes? Because I'm not sure if he can knock him out.
Yeah, they both. It's crazy. They're both peaking, but they're both in really tough divisions where it's bro, your move to the top is just not. It's hard. It's just hard. Yeah, because I was really thinking about that. Like, are either of these two guys? Because they're both really, really good. But could I see either of them like fighting for a title? In
In the case of Charles Oliveira, I think it's just politics that are gonna keep him. Like, same reason Gaethje's not getting a title shot, man. It's just there's too much limelight and politics at the top of that 155 division, because you got Khabib, whose dad said he's going to retire soon, and he's like playing Conor McGregor as Justin Gaethje. You got Tony Ferguson, who's just weird as fuck, and if he wins the title, could just as easily break his leg, playing like frisbee golf or whatever the next day. And then you got Conor McGregor, who gets whatever he wants despite fighting in the wrong division. So. And then, like you said, if he had to fight Justin Gaethje, I'd pick Gaethje in a heartbeat.
Yeah. You know what? I'll go out on a limb, and I'll say Oliveira, I think, is championship. And I'm not saying, I don't mean material as in I think they'll win, but just if they can even just make it, like if they can just get to a title fight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Oliveira the nod just because of his age. That at 30 years old, he still has some good years ahead of him.
I mean, despite fighting this long in the UFC and despite having some like nasty knockouts behind him, on the low light end, he is not taking a lot of damage because he's a grapple first fighter.
It doesn't take a lot of damage. Has been relatively healthy.
The only thing that concerns me are all those years he's tried to make 145, and even then, it's like he stopped when his body told him to stop.
Right.
So
he got out of it. So I'll say time is on his side. I think he could at least make it to a title shot. I feel like if Burns gets a title shot, it'll be one of those things where, well, like you said, obviously we got the Usman thing, so he won't fight his teammate. But just in a hypothetical, I think if Burns gets a title shot, it'd be one of those things where, like, a fight was supposed to happen and somebody got injured, and he'd be like the replacement.
I think it'd be like one of those things where, like, how Damian Maia got his title fight like a month after he had already fought. Joey says hi, by the way.
Yo, what up, Joey? But yeah, I'm gonna give Oliveira the nod. Burns, I don't know, man. It's hard for Burns. Burns is really good, but I don't know.
I will say, I would love to see Burns versus Masvidal. I think there's a lot of fun in that fight.
Yeah. I think Burns in that division, there's just fun everywhere. And I think that might be part of the reason why he might not make it to a title shot, is because, like, the fun fights at 170, like, they're dangerously fun. Like,
yeah, like, I could see him getting taken out by Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, like, the fun fights at 170 are, like, dudes who might kill you. Like, it's going to be fun until it ain't fun no more.
Right, him, Ponzinibbio, Wonder Boy, who's still around, by the way. He's still in the division. Like, and it's still a viable contender for Usman. Leon Edwards, like, there's a lot crowding at the top of that division. Well, so here's another aspect of it. The UFC still does the yearly pay-per-view card in Brazil, right? Yeah, they have Jose Aldo maybe fighting for the title in the near future. We'll see how that goes. With the pandemic. But beyond that, it's like Johnny Walker fizzed out. Thiago Santos isn't going to be back anytime soon. I guess we have Paulo Costa to look forward to. And I hear they were aiming at that for the summer. But, like, there's not a lot of Brazilian contenders out there right now. We have to see what happens with Davidson Figueiredo if he makes weight the next time we see him. They're apparently running that fight back with Joseph Benavidez for the title again. We'll see what happens. but I can see one of these guys potentially getting a title fight where like they have a guy who's the champion, and they just need a car. They just need somebody for Brazil. To headline the pay-per-view. Kind of like what they're doing with Cejudo and Aldo. It's just like you need a guy for Brazil, and I could see Oliveira or Burns being that guy.
We'll see. Oh, if y'all keep doing what you're doing, you'll make it there. you'll make it there. So once again, shout out to Gilbert Burns. I didn't want to see you do that to Damian Maia, but it's the fight game. Somebody's got to not make it, unfortunately. But moving on. And these next couple fights, we ain't got to spend a whole lot of time. We ain't like they were cool, but anyway, Renato Moicano moving up to lightweight, facing off Damir Hadzovic, and what was a a weird, entertaining finish, I guess, if you want to call it that.
I feel like we should preface this by saying every single fight up until this point on the card went to decision.
Yes, it was a long night. It was a lot of.
I mean, the fights were good. Don't get.
Yeah, they were, but it was like, got another third round. Like, is nobody. And it was weird. Like when we got the Zaleski dos Santos and Konchenko fight, I was like, oh, somebody's definitely going to sleep, and nobody went to sleep. It was they were wide awake.
Yeah.
There was no sleeping at all. But Moicano and Hadzovic fight only lasted like 45 seconds. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't rewatch this. I don't remember anything that happened before the choke. All I remember.
Moicano got a body lock takedown, took Hadzovic's back, and then submitted him. That's it.
And then they got into an argument. And then.
Well, no. They didn't get into an argument. Moicano started screaming at Hadzovic as he was on the ground recovering from getting choked.
He said something like, I didn't have nothing against you, bro, or something.
I didn't have anything against you, brother. I wish the fight had went longer. And Hadzovic snaps back, then you shouldn't have freaking said.
That was the realest reply I've ever heard. He literally told this man, like, bro, if you wanted to keep fighting, you just shouldn't have choked me out, and we could have just kept. I can't. Solid logic. I can't. I guess. I've never heard post-fight argument like that before. That was a first. That's one of the best sound clips. God, Corona's messing this up, man. Because that's a clip for the ages.
Well,
like, that's legendary to me.
Allegedly, this might not have happened had there been a crowd, because I think it mentioned this in Joey on Tumblr. It was just like Moicano was the most confused man in that entire arena, which admittedly wasn't much, but like because there were only like 30 people there, but like he just looked completely lost. He was cutting promos to the crowd that weren't there. He was just like, I fought in front of my home, and none of my friends and family are here, and I just had a baby. Like, the question that brought all this up was like, what was all that arguing about? And it was just like, I just became a father. Like, hey man, how does that make sense?
The man had a lot of emotions. He just had to get out. He just had to get it out. I don't know. Oh man, what a fight! Well, not really what a fight. What a post fight. Yeah, not a lot to break down. That was Moicano and Damir Hadzovic. It ended via rear naked choke, round 1, 44 seconds in.
Welcome to lightweight, Moicano.
There you go. Welcome to lightweight. I don't know if you plan on having a long stay, but
I think this is new division.
I'm just saying, Damir might be the weakest person you ever fight.
I mean, yeah, if freaking what's his name, Brian Ortega's pressure was enough to get to turn you into a Panic wrestler. I can't imagine what happens when you gotta face somebody like Khabib.
Yeah. It don't get no easier, my friend. But he looked good though. He looked solid. So shout out to Moicano. This next fight, I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this, man. Nikita Krylov versus Johnny Walker.
So Nikita Krylov takes a unanimous decision over Johnny Walker by turning the whole fight into he punches himself into the clinch, pushes Johnny Walker up against the cage, and then fights for the takedown for like the majority of the round. That's how he wins, right? So, yeah, whatever. That's the fight. That's our breakdown of the fight.
Yeah, not there. There wasn't a lot to talk about.
I do want to talk about Johnny Walker though, a little bit. So, like the main eventer Kevin Lee, he moved to TriStar for this camp, as he's wont to do. He moves around between fights to get the best possible training, get different looks. I think TriStar is a god awful camp for him, because Johnny Walker is not a real fighter. Johnny Walker is like
oh snap! You know, I just thought, is he like the 205 version of Brandon Thatch?
You know what I was gonna say? He's like Tim Wakefield. Do you know who Tim Wakefield is?
The name sounds familiar.
Tim Wakefield was a pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. And I know this from my days when I was a baseball fan. I was a Yankee fan, not a Red Sox fan. But Tim Wakefield was notorious because he had the one pitch, which was the knuckleball. And it's a pitch where you can't read, and like you just can't read it. You don't know where the ball is going to end up. Catchers have trouble. Like the pitcher can't really control it. The catcher, he has to be trained in being able to catch it. The pitch is a really special pitch. Really hard to throw. Really hard to hit. Johnny Walker's entire game is that. It is good. Like, there is no fastball. There is no changeup. There's no curveball. There's no glove. It is just weird feints into whatever works. Sometimes it's a flying knee. Sometimes it's an elbow. There's not much method or madness to Johnny Walker's game. He sees something and he reacts to it.
Has he ever thrown a jab?
No. But it's 205 and that works.
Yeah, that is true.
To an extent. Jackson, I was gonna say Jackson's. Faraz Sahabi does not know what to do with that. Johnny Walker is not going to be a jab and clutch fighter. He is not GSP. He is not Roy McDonald. He doesn't even fucking do the same sport as what those two do. He is a wild man who just has to be trained to draw out specific counters. That is all he needs to be trained to do, because he's never going to be quote unquote good, but that doesn't mean he can't be effective.
He just needs somebody, I think, to get him some. I feel like his wackiness wouldn't work more if he just had some more fundamentals. And I feel like he'd be able to get by a bit more. Because you can't have all of the jumping and flying and I'm going to throw a 100-mile-an-hour spinning, jumping kick or something crazy. You need some fundamentals to kind of round it out.
I say he needs to go the opposite direction.
Or just lean all the way into it.
Just lean all the way into it. Go train with Michelle Pereira.
And
just see what happens.
Or that. You gotta do one or two. You either gotta rein him in just a smidgen, get him some fundamentals, or just go, I'm gonna be action mode. Like, I'm just gonna be the movie star fighter. You gotta pick one. Hype train exploded.
I mean, I've said it ever since Johnny Walker. He's not a real prospect. Like he's 205 Michelle Pereira. Like maybe one day he'll be good, but it's not gonna be anytime soon. It probably will be after he gets knocked out like 5 more times.
Boy, oh boy.
Like sometimes an action fighter is just an action fighter, man.
Oh, Nikita stopped all that. He shut all the action down.
And Nikita is the true prospect.
Yeah. Shout out to Nikita getting back in the UFC and then making the best of it.
The mining Al Capone.
There you go. There you go. Nikita, the true 205 GOAT.
So, I think I said it during the fight, too. This was the proper way to win the fight if you're Nikita Krylov. But it's also the way to make himself a villain. Because we didn't come to Krylov Walker to see a wrestling match.
Yeah, no, somebody was supposed to die this fight.
Somebody was supposed to flail at the other person, and the other person would flail back, and we would end up with some type of car wreck. So, I'm very disappointed in him.
Yeah, this was the 205 fight where like the head-on collision was supposed to happen, and it just, we just didn't get it.
See, now I'm just imagining them both like jumping at each other, but like hitting each other in the head and just like double KOing.
God. Next time we see Johnny Walker, he might be on a prelim somewhere.
No.
I don't know. I feel like they still like him. They may throw him on the main card.
They're going to throw him on the main cards for the rest of his career.
They'll find some poor fool in the crowd. Been training for like 3 days.
I mean, that's just 205.
They gonna give him the MVP treatment.
I mean,
oh, you lost the fight. Here's a can.
Dude, that's entirely what they should have been doing. They should don't treat him like a real fucking fighter. Just throw him cans, and then when he wins enough in a row, just throw him at like the champion. Fuck it.
and see if it works.
Fuck it. See what happens.
Bro, if he'd have caught John Jones with them flying knees. Probably not gonna happen now, man. Nikita Krylov, he knocked the tracks off the hype train.
John Jones does need to recover after losing 2 in a row. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Talk about it. Yeah, we're not over that. Dominic Reyes won that fight, y'all. He won. We're gonna get a rematch for a while because little Corona came around, but we're gonna remind you guys of that. And I'm gonna remind you guys that Weili Zhang is still the champion. That's still a thing too. Zhang gang. But shout out to Nikita Krylov. Unanimous decision win over Johnny Walker. Last fight on the card. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I want to acknowledge Francisco Trinaldo, who at 58 years of age beat the bricks off of John Makdessi. I don't know what Makdessi's strategy was. It was a lot of him moving backwards and not doing a lot. Doesn't really win your fights. And Trinaldo put some paws on him.
A little bit. Trinaldo with his trademark, like 4 moves.
Hey, man.
I mean, left hand, right hook, left body kick, left head kick. Works almost every time.
Hey, man. When you've been doing it for 70 years like he has, it's just extremely effective. Shout out to Francisco Trinaldo, man. That man is just crazy old out here still winning fights. He is not 42 or whatever that little ticker thing says he is.
I mean,
he is 55 at least.
I mean, let the man fight. He's got.
Oh no! He still got some left. He's still.
The man got stepkids to take care of, man. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
Also, that one kid like 4 towns over who he pays child support to, but doesn't visit.
Shout out to Trinaldo. He is like that 40-year-old guy who can still like probably shun one of the youngins if they try to put a prospect in his face.
I mean, he's done it before. Like this dude has like a ridiculous record in the UFC. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. He's got 21 fights in the UFC, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, is he 15-6 in the UFC?
Yeah, bro, he's pretty good and like pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of never got like the big win.
I mean, he did stop Paul Felder, but that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not. Dude's good though, man.
He is a very good fighter.
That's the old guy on the block you don't want to see. But yeah, shout out to Francisco Trinaldo. Put some old man hands on old John Makdessi. Got the unanimous decision win. That was the main card. It's pretty good, man. You know,
Krylov Walker notwithstanding.
yeah, minus that. You can if you go to rewatch, you can kind of skip that one. You don't need to watch that. Rest of this was good though. Like Trinaldo and Makdessi, it was cool to just see Trinaldo still just be Trinaldo at 80 years of age. The Moicano, the best post-fight exchange ever in history, or one of the best ones. It hurt to see Maya get knocked out, but on the other hand, like it's good to see Burns kind of continue making his climb at 170. And the main event, Kevin Lee got Kevin Lee, but DuBronx Oliveira is like really coming into his own, and it's really fun to watch. So it was a good main card. Weird to watch it in front of an empty crowd, but everybody went out there and performed, man. They did their thing. So that was the main card. Prelim spotlight. There were some good prelims, but I can't speak on a lot of them because I missed the first 3 fights on this card. So I'm going to give my first prelim shout out. I gotta give one of my homie, man. I've been a Brandon Moreno fan for a while. Brandon Moreno versus Juicy Formiga was so fun. Just long live flyweight, man. This fight, so many transitions and just everything. Like, this fight was just awesome. It was just great. It was. We're seeing like a mature Brandon Moreno, which is kind of wild to see considering just a few years ago this man was fighting all over the place. He was just like a ticking time bomb in there. And now like he's still, he's still like a fun fighter, but he looks just a bit more like he's a little more mature now. He's not as wild, but my God, that fight was amazing. That was like the peak of this card for me. I had so much fun watching that fight.
Yeah, how does it, dude? The first round of this fight involved Brandon Moreno getting up-kicked in the face, getting dropped in the process, and Juicy Formiga taking his back. It was like, that was, like, at that point, I thought that was like the wildest fucking thing. And then there was the reversal in the second round.
Bruh.
Where Formiga is in the process of taking Moreno's back standing. And Moreno reaches underneath his leg to pull him up and then proceeds to turn into Formiga and then slam him. And what has to be one of the prettiest reversals I've ever seen.
Yeah, that might be one of the best reversals I've ever seen ever. Like, and it's like this whole fight was just nothing but just like, I can't believe I just saw that. Like, that was the whole fight. It was just so much was going on. It was great, man. Like, it was amazing. That fight was awesome. It was just so good. I love watching Brandon Moreno fight, and shout out to Juicy Formiga too. Like, he is super slick on the ground, man. It's really fun to watch.
Dude, he's so good, and he's so underappreciated. Like, dude is super. Like, he's not good for flyweight. He's just actually good.
Yeah, he's just really good. He is really. It was. I was surprised that Moreno was able to get out of some of those spots that he was in, because I think a lot of other guys, if they were in those situations, Formiga would have tapped them easy.
Yeah.
He'd have got them out of there.
What was the one sequence? There were two other sequences I really liked. So in the third round, Moreno's a dude I really want to see in a 5-round fight because he seems to build over a course of a fight. Like he dropped the first round here on two scorecards and picked it up in the last 2 rounds. But like there was a sequence in like the beginning or middle part of the third round where he just lands like a 7-piece combination. Like just right and left hands. Like he starts the combination, tags Formiga. Formiga tries to counter. Moreno slips and then hits him 4 more times. There was another sequence where Formiga's on the bottom in guard. Plants pushes himself on the head, plants his hand to get away. Moreno lets him up and proceeds to head kick him. And Formiga turns that into a takedown, but not before Moreno takes his hands and starts clapping him on both of his ears.
Man.
It is all around amazing fight.
Yet another fight that just proves like this division has to stay.
Moreno's turning into one of the funnest fighters in MMA. Like must see TV every time. Like his last since coming back to UFC, it's just been nothing but fucking just complete chaos, and it's great. And we can't we can't understand how big this win is for him.
Yeah, this is like one of those like, oh, you're right next to the title shot. Like
if Figueiredo had made weight, he'd probably be in the title.
Right. Like this was one of those performances. Because Formiga was a guy who's consistently just been at the top. Like getting past Formiga, albeit the UFC doesn't hype him or like I feel like they treat him like he doesn't exist.
Why was this not like the co-main event of this card?
Right. Like we got Krylov and Walker running around here. Like Moreno and Formiga was a main card fight.
Like dude,
no doubt.
I am the biggest Trinaldo fan. Well, not the biggest, but I am a big Trinaldo fan. Dude shouldn't have been the main card over Brandon Moreno or Jose Formiga.
No, that fight was. And you know what I was thinking? It really sucks. I was imagining if there was actually a crowd when this fight was going off, they would have went bananas watching this fight.
Oh, absolutely. Because
there was so much happening. Like people would have lost their minds watching this fight. I was at home, just had my laptop just oohing and eyeing every 5 seconds because somebody was doing something crazy. What a fight, man. What a fight. But Brandon Moreno got the unanimous decision win. And I'll give my other shout out. Like I said, I only saw a few of these prelims, so I don't only shout out what I saw. I'll take the other big one, I guess. Shout out to Amanda. Is it Hebas or Rebus?
I have no idea.
I'm say Hebas. I'm gonna assume the R is an H. Amanda Hebas versus defeated Randa Marcos via unanimous decision. Hebas is becoming somebody I'm definitely keeping an eye on now. Another fighter who's just really, really fun to watch. A lot of action, a lot of just like it just seemed like she's always in go mode. Like she's out there to get it, and I really just enjoy her fighting style. So she's definitely somebody at women's strawweight. I'm definitely keeping an eye on. So I want to definitely give a shout outs to Amanda Hebas. Keep an eye on her at strawweight. If nothing else, she's going to give you really, really great entertaining fights night in and night out.
Yeah.
If nothing
else. Like if you didn't watch the fight, she won it 30-26, 30-26, 30-25. Yeah, just beat the absolute bricks off of Randa Marcos. That was supposed to be Paige Van Zandt, and I have a feeling that fight would have gone the exact same way.
She did.
Like Hebas is that perfect mix of athletic and like actual has technical skill. Like we saw it against Mackenzie Dern when she beat the bricks off Mackenzie Dern. Yeah, like she is a top prospect in this division. Really, really looking forward to her seeing her again. Like I don't even have a lot to say. She just beat the crap out of Random Marcos. Like poor Random
Yeah.
Marcos.
Hands, feet, paws, just
Like
all that.
yeah, like really poor Random Marcos, and we'll get to that. Yeah.
Who you want to give your shout outs to?
Oh, but the Skype thing just is a thing.
Oh no! What does that?
No, the thing in the recorder in the corner just spazzed out on me for a second.
Yeah, mine just told me my recording is finished. It is not finished. Well, the Skype.
You're still recording the call. It's fine.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Oh, still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just reading something because, as we know, the news does not stop coming in.
Yeah, it does not. Any quick prelim shout outs?
So you took the two I actually saw and cared about.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. But props to Marina Moros and Myra Bueno Silva, which actually won fight of the night. It was a neat little scrap. Moros and Silva banged down on the feet for a little bit, but Moros was able to get her down in the first and second round. Myra bounced back in the third and put a beating on Moros, actually. Like really started putting her combinations together, refused to be taken down. It wasn't enough to bounce back. Moros ended up taking a unanimous decision. 29-28 across the board. This is Moros' first fight in like over a year, I want to say. She hadn't fought since March 30th last year. I don't know the reason. I don't know if she got hurt. Yeah, she was hurt. She was supposed to fight August, but got hurt. So yeah, props to her. Getting back into it. Fighting at women's flyweight. That division needs bodies. So props to her. You know what? I did not see Dos Santos versus Kuchenko. I tried to watch it earlier today, but I got distracted. So I can't give a breakdown of that. But I heard that it was a little bit of hometown cooking. I can't comment on that.
I didn't rewatch it, so I can't. I remember enjoying the fight, but I don't. It was kind of a blur to me.
Yeah.
Kind of a blur. I'll have to go back and watch.
I do remember Enrique Barzola versus Ronnie Yaya. And it was the most Ronnie Yaya fight since the last Ronnie Yaya fight. Where Yaya goes out there and dominates on the ground for 2 rounds, gets super tired, and gets 10-8'd in the last round by Barzola.
And we leave with a draw.
And we leave with a majority draw, which I'm not mad at. No, I wish, it happens. I mean, this was Barzola moving down to bantamweight, by the way. After receiving what I'm considering his first UFC loss. Oh wait, no, he lost to Kyle Aguilar. Never mind. I forgot about that fight. But yeah, hopefully the next one's better for the Pride of Peru over there. Maybe you start fighting in the second round as opposed to the third.
Oh man.
So those are my two. And just to round it out, because there were only 2 other fights, David God, fucking.
Yeah, I'm looking at that name, boy. That's a.
Vorak.
BVORAK. However you pronounce that.
David Dvorak, I'm just saying it like that, took on Bruno Gustavo da Silva in the flyweight contest, ended up taking it 29-28 across the board. This was David's first UFC fight, so props to him for getting the win. And Bea Maleki took a decision over Veronica Macedo in what had to be the most comical fight on the card because of the height difference.
All right, I'll have to go back and watch that one. So I'm all for a good laugh.
It stops being funny and just starts being like, oh, we're doing this, huh? After about like 3 minutes, but like there's like an 8-inch height difference between the two.
Yeah. Oh man. But that was UFC Brasilia. Circumstances aside, no crowd, and with everything going on, it was a good card.
Yeah.
Albeit, like you said, a lot of fights did go to decision. So if you do rewatch it, it is a bit of a long watch. But like majority of the fights were entertaining. So I suggest if you don't go back and go watch Oliveira Lee, go watch Burns Maya, go watch Moicano and Hasdovic, if nothing for the post fight. Definitely watch Moreno and Formiga. I didn't know the Moroz fight got fight of night, so definitely I guess go watch that. I'm gonna have to go back and peep that. I might do that tonight because I ain't got nothing else going on. Definitely watched the Amanda Hebos fight. Yeah, like it was a good card. It was a good card. And listen, man, a lot of y'all, you're on lockdown, or even if you're still working, you ain't going outside. You shouldn't be really. You ain't got nothing but time. Go watch this. You ain't doing nothing else. You might as well. Go hop on. Go rewatch this if you didn't get a chance to catch it. It was a good time. It was a good time. You can do like your own chair since there's no crowd. Like you can be the crowd at the house. Just yell at the screen. But no, good times. Good times at UFC Brasilia. Okay, so to transition off of this card slightly, kinda, sort of. So we're gonna slowly move into kind of how this coronavirus has kind of affected the world of combat sports, and specifically the UFC also. A lot of fights kind of in limbo right now.
Yep.
A lot of cards in limbo. Actually, the Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris card and the Ngannou versus Rosenstruck card, as the last time I saw, were postponed pretty much indefinitely. So
postponed.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody knows when those are gonna happen. UFC London was a debacle to say the least. We're supposed to be getting that card, and then,
now.
Yeah, like literally right now as we're recording this, that card was supposed to be happening. And then like it was gonna happen, but then like it wasn't gonna happen, and Dana White was trying to go through all these loopholes, like, yo, we can put it at this arena.
Call Bjorn Rebney and we can throw it on an Indian reservation.
Right.
Casino.
Like it was getting wild out here. And a lot of fighters, man, are getting caught in the crossfire of all this uncertainty. Some of the fights from the UFC London card ended up on a Cage Warriors card. One of those fights being Darren Stewart versus another gentleman whose name I can't remember, but he beat Darren Stewart. That was the only fight on that card I actually saw.
Fabian something.
Yeah, wildness. Like this.
Oh, Fabinski. It was Bartosz Fabinski.
Yeah, I'm
not sure is in the UFC anymore.
Well,
no, he is.
I was about to say, if not, he beat the UFC guy. But yeah, this virus is been wild, and just the way the UFC has handled it has been questionable, to say the least. Poor Ashley Evans Smith. I read an article about her, like she was like on a plane literally about to fly to London, didn't know what was going on, like hearing conflicting information. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just read her quote. She talks about this in many different facets. As far as the payment portion, because a lot of these fighters who are getting fights canceled don't know if they're getting paid.
They're not.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. They're not. If you're in the UFC, definitely you're not. Probably not. Shout out to Bellator, who apparently did pay their fighters. Scott Coker did the right thing. But this is a quote from Ashley Evans Smith. I'm reading this from Bloody Elbow article written by Zane Simon. She said, "I haven't heard anything from the UFC, and the UFC has as much money as they have. They're not giving out money left and right for nothing. I know the Bellator fighters that got compensated, they weighed in, and I'm just hoping that the UFC doesn't do some trickery and say, oh, well, you didn't make weight or you didn't weigh in. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but I'm also not going to get my hopes up. I think we deserve that money to say the least, so on and so forth." Let me move on to when she actually talks about the flight she was on. She said, "I'm on the flight. I'm literally about to take off, and my manager is like, just stay ready." Evan Smith said, and I'm like, ready, like, don't eat? He's like, yeah, they might reschedule the fight in California. And she says, are you serious? I'm already eating. And he's like, we might do a catch weight, so don't worry, don't stress. I'm like, that's not saying that. I'm a bleeper. That's like saying don't effing breathe right now. Don't stress. Don't stress. You don't know where I'm going to fight. Maybe I might fight Saturday. So it just basically goes on. There was a whole lot of confusion about what was going to happen to this card.
So, I think we've talked about the UFC's like communication issues with their fighters before. Where basically there is no communication. There'll be guys who are sitting on the shelf for like months, and then find out they get cut on Twitter.
Yeah.
But by not even like a journalist, but by the UFC removing their profile from their website, because that's how the UFC lets people know that they've been cut. But I do have a little timeline here that is incomplete. I didn't think to do it until the last minute, before we started recording. But I just want to give everybody a little scale of like the events that have been going on regarding coronavirus and the UFC. If you're all right with that, Sensei.
Hey man, go educate the people on the how Dana and them are rolling.
All right, so
yeah.
If you didn't know, everybody probably already knows right now. A mysterious pneumonia outbreak took place in Wuhan in December, starting around December 2019, that led to a quarantine of the city, which is home of 35 million people. On January 13th, the first case of coronavirus was discovered outside of China in Thailand, making the virus officially international. On January 30th, 2020, the virus was labeled a public health emergency of international concern by the World Health Organization. On February 17th, One Championship announced One King of the Jungle, which would be held on, God, what day was that? Was that just February? No, because so hold on, let me just get my math right here. Well, I don't remember when that card took place. I think it might have been the 18th. Point being, the card was held that was going to be held without fans in response to coronavirus. Hold on, let me check the location of that. I want to say it was in Singapore, where at the time they had like 77 cases. It was on February 28th. So 11 days before the card was set to take place, One announced that they would hold the card in a venue with no audience. The card took place in Singapore, where there was numerous cases at the time. On March 6th, One Championship in Aries postponed their upcoming shows due to the coronavirus. The next one event that is currently scheduled, that included canceling a one event that was set for March 20th. The next event is set for Singapore. It's called One Championship Hope, and it's on April 17th. There's no word on whether or not that's going to take place. On March 7th, we had UFC 248. That is the card that had the co-main event featuring Wei Li Zhang defending her title against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. As they said as the UFC was aware of in the build-up to the fight, Zhang had to leave China early because of fear that she would not be able to get a visa if the coronavirus continued to spread at the rate it was spreading. Also for her own health. She fled to Thailand, where she was supposed to spend 2 weeks, but her trip was cut short and she had to fly to Vegas early because, again, as I mentioned earlier, a case was reported in Thailand and it had spread there as well. On March 9th, Combate Americas announced that all their future cards will be held, for the foreseeable future, will be held in a TV studio. I could not remember the date specifically, but it was either March 10th or March 11th that the NBA came forward and decided to cancel the season after it came out that former Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, tested positive for coronavirus after he made an ass of himself during the media day the day before. So, go figure. March 11th, a lot of shit goes down. The World Health Organization declares corona a pandemic. KSW cancels KSW 53. The governor of Brasilia canceled all sporting events in the state, which 3 days later was set to have UFC Brasilia. March 13th, Bellator cancels Bellator 241. The day of the event, they did go forward with paying the entire roster for the card. The UFC also announces that UFC Brasilia will be without fans. I think that was also on March 11th. So I'm sorry for not writing that down. UFC Brasilia moves ahead with no audience, March 14th. March 16th, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut order all gyms to close for the foreseeable future at 8 p.m. After 8 p.m. on that Monday. Other states would soon follow suit. So if you are an MMA fighter, the odds are you are in a state, whether that be New York, California, Florida, New Jersey, Nevada, any of those states, your gym is probably closed at the moment and you are not able to train. After trying, also March 16th, after trying to get the fight moved to somewhere outside of London, Leon Edwards is forced out of his fight with Tyron Woodley at UFC Fight Night London. This is after days and days of the UFC trying. This is after the Trump administration decided to include the UK and Ireland in their travel ban. They were not originally listed in the ban, but this happened afterwards. The UFC, like I mentioned earlier, the UFC have been toying with the idea of going to a Native American reservation casino and holding the card there, old school Bellator style. That same day, March 16th, the UFC decides to cancel postpone 3 of their upcoming cards, including UFC Fight Night Overeem versus Rosenstruck. Overeem versus, who was he fighting?
Oh, Walt Harris.
Walt Harris, Rosenstruck versus Ngannou, and Woodley versus Edwards. On March 18th, the New York Athletic Commission came forward to say the UFC 249 will not take place at the Barclays Center. Dana White immediately came out and said the fight will go on. It will happen on that day, April 19th, and you better not bet against him. So that's just a little lenient timeline breakdown of what's going on, or what's happened in the MMA world over the last 2 months regarding the virus. Other organizations started canceling shows as early as February. And it really picked up after March 11th when the World Health Organization declared a pandemic.
Yep.
So, going back to UFC Brasilia really quick, and we talked about Ashley Evans Smith in London, but on that card was John McDessie, who lives in Canada. He's not, not American, whatever. But John McDessie came out with a story afterwards talking about his experience, about how there was a lot of paranoia going on, about how they did not test for the virus ahead of the card.
Yeah, I don't think any of them did.
No. In fact, USADA has said they will continue testing UFC athletes during the time of this pandemic, but they will not be testing for the coronavirus, which on one hand is understandable. Test cases are hard to come by, especially here in the United States. But maybe don't send people to other people's houses.
Yeah, this just isn't.
This is not the time.
This is not smart.
But McDessie has said that he's been placed on 2-week quarantine and is unable to see his doctor for lingering injuries that occurred during the card and during the camp, which is something he's never had an issue with because, it's Canada. He can just go see the doctor. but the quarantine is raising issues for him. So there's that. We talked about Ashley Evans Smith. Did we talk? Let me find the article on Random Marcos, who is also facing issues as another Canadian. Random Marcos.
Well, apparently she was denied testing.
Yes. It, like I said, you could be exhibiting symptoms, but if you're not exhibiting all the symptoms, they will deny you testing because testing gets hard to come by. Just made it home. Stopped by the coronavirus testing center. They wouldn't test me. Long flights with a lot of people. Not feeling great, and I'm not a risk. Okay, I guess I'll be home for 2 weeks. That was her tweet. So the UFC, and in all fairness, most of their athletes were down in Brazil prior to the World Health Organization coming out and saying, that the coronavirus was a pandemic. But the UFC allowed the card to go forward with no testing. And then a week later, was prepared to do the same situation after they knew that this was an issue. After they knew that it was going to be a problem at the airports. And if you've been paying attention to the news or even just following along on Twitter at all, you know that the airport has been a mess because of bad messaging that has come out of the White House regarding the European travel ban right now.
I saw a picture where they said they were like 3-hour waits for people like just trying to get baggage.
Yes.
Like, it's craziness out there.
We mentioned that none of the fighters coming up on any of these cards are probably not getting paid for their missed time, their missed opportunity.
And unlike, and this isn't the pocket watch or, anything like that, but a lot of these MMA fighters, these dudes ain't making the same salaries as your NBA players, your NFL players. Bro, like, there are players in the NFL on the bench who ain't never going to see playtime.
Who make more money than John Jones.
Yes, who make way more money. And it's like, these guys are basically us. They just fight for a living. Most of them. A vast majority of them. So, like, them not getting paid, on top of just how fighters are treated in general, like, this is not good. Like, this is really just kind of reckless. Just, I'm
sorry.
No, I'm saying, like, you're just putting your fighters at risk. And then you just got to think, like,
you're putting people at risk because, one, you're putting these fighters on planes who haven't been tested, with potentially dozens of other people.
And then you got to think, and your fighters, you got to bring your coach, your corner people. Like, it's just
coaches, managers. You got accommodation people that they interact with, whether it be people at the airport, whether it be people at the hotels they're staying at, the restaurants they're visiting during fight week, the gyms that they have to train at during the week. If they have to give any media during the week, they're interacting with those people. They're interacting with all the arena crew. And this all of a sudden is like, and that's the thing. And I'll get to Dana White's comments in a second, but like, and this is the issue. I said we're not built for community. And media, stop asking fighters about their fucking opinions on this, because most fighters are fucking stupid when it comes to things that aren't fighting. So asking Sam Alvey and fucking Paulo Costa for their opinions on the coronavirus and having them say back, oh, it's not that big a deal, or, oh, Corona to me is a beer. It's not helpful. And yes, of course, these people are going to say they want to fight because fighting is how they make their living. And the UFC, your average UFC fighter fights 1.14 times a year. It's not a lot of money. But let's just go to Dana's comments. Dana White blasts media criticizing UFC during coronavirus. Weakest, wimpiest people on earth. Dana White's a shithead. Like an out and out shithead who is endangering potentially thousands of people because his company is so poorly mishandling the money that they make that they can't afford to pay their fighters and they can't afford to miss dates. So,
or is it that they don't want to pay them?
It's a little column A, little column B. One bleeds into the other. So, earlier this week, investigative journalist for Bloody Elbow and The Guardian, Kareem Zidane, came out with an article, Coronavirus Pandemic Sheds Light on Endeavor's Mismanagement of UFC Cash Flow. So, I don't know if you know much about Endeavor, Sensei. They've been losing money for like the longest time. Because despite being a talent agency, they have their hands in all these other things. And they see themselves as, I guess you'd call them a venture capitalist firm, which is dumb. You manage Hollywood actors like you're their agents. That's what you were supposed to do. But they decided to get into the business of owning other businesses, and they've been buying up businesses for a few years now. One of them, including being the UFC for $4 billion, as we all know. But last year, they tried to go public and open an IPO for their business. This did not go well because it came out all these information about their revenue, their debt, their net losses came out and they spent millions of dollars trying to go build this IPO and like advertise it and get people to invest. I don't remember how much money they wanted, but it was like I want to say it was in like the 9-figure range, 10-figure range. Hundreds of millions or $1 billion potentially. But they had to cancel at the last minute because they realized that nobody was going to invest in them. So I'm not totally familiar with how stocks and ownership and like dividends work, but apparently this spooked a lot of the people who have money invested in the UFC, which are a lot of celebrities, by the way. Mark Wahlberg has stock in the UFC. Like a lot of people whose agents work for Endeavor also like part of their pay. It's this weird setup where like you invest a little bit with us and we'll give you your money back in spades, like whatever. So when the IPO failed, a lot of people got really nervous. Well, the UFC is one of the few products that Endeavor has that actually makes a profit. And they make a big profit. I think last year they made just short of $1 billion in revenue. That's not pure profit. That's revenue. That's not including operating costs. But when you take into consideration that the UFC only pays $150 million to their athletes a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say it makes sense because the revenue share is like less than 20%?
It's like 15%.
Yeah, among all of the big sports, they are like the worst.
Yes.
Yes, it's
by
the
far.
By far.
Reminder, they get paid something like $8 to $9 million per card they have on ESPN, whether it be ESPN TV or ESPN Plus. But where is it going? Oh, okay. So it scared a lot of people who have money invested in Endeavor. So what that Endeavor did is they used the UFC to take out a $300 million loan to pay dividends to their investors. So like Mark Wahlberg got a cut for like $500,000. Dana White, Ari Emanuel, the other guy who runs Endeavor, they all made over $3 million. Now, I don't need to tell you about math, but $300 million is double what the UFC pays their fighters every year, which is $150 million. Yeah. So again, the UFC is very profitable. They turn a profit to the point that Endeavor was able to use them to take out money to pay off the people inside their company or who are invested through their company. that cash flow could have gone to paying the fighters. It could have been an emergency fund. It could, and there's no way to foresee these types of things. Though I do think if you are a multi-billion-dollar company or multi-million-dollar company, you should have a rainy day fund to pay your employees.
Regular people have that. Like,
yeah,
normal people, me and you, like, I have a rainy day fund. It ain't a lot, but thank God I did have it. It did get me through this last week.
That's what everybody. That's what all these rich people tell us, that we should have money saved up, right? For when shit goes south.
Right.
I mean, the UFC. So when the UFC refuses to cancel cards until the state government steps in and says no, there are no events being held in our state that are over 25 people gathering. You kind of see why. Because the UFC, because Endeavor poorly mishandles their funding, tries to play the venture capitalist game and fails, and uses the UFC as a piggy bank.
And it is, I think it's even worse that I see, like, well, only on social media, but people trying to, like, back up Dana's rhetoric. And it's like, bro, y'all are just,
Dana White could fucking pay for every freaking fighter on the next 3 cards who are missing their fights with just the money he got from his dividend last year. It was over $3 million. Dana White received something like 9% of all the profit that comes from every card. Dana White probably has spent more money gambling at the fucking Palms in a weekend than it would cost for him to step in and help pay his fighters. The UFC is a billion-dollar business. Just fucking pay them.
Right. Like, it's not like they make that much anyway. This ain't like the NBA where you're paying out, hundreds of millions, and that's just to the people on the bench. And we didn't even get to the starters. Like, come on, man. This is just, it's reckless, just
and
for
now
no reason.
The UFC's now in a position where, like, if they have to miss dates, because now the UFC, like, they have a lot of debt. In part because of the dividend, in part because of the way the UFC runs their business. It's always been a loan-heavy business. There was a point where they were taking like $500 million a year. But like, if they have to miss dates because of the way they poorly and now you see why we have a card every week, right? It's because once the money stops coming in, shit hits the fan. They can't go. That's why they need a constant stream of income. It's infuriating.
Yeah, this is just nasty. Like, this is not. It's just it's reckless beyond. It's not surprising because it's Dana. And it's like, this isn't one of those situations where you need to be the tough guy, like, yo, we're just going to make this happen. Like, no, this isn't one of those situations. You don't get cool points for trying to, like, get through the adversity and try to make this card happen no matter what. Like, no, these people need to be home. Like, they need to be home. For their safety, for everyone's around them safety. Clearly, they're already being affected. You got 2 fighters who are under quarantine because they potentially have symptoms. I don't know if I read this right. Didn't like Donald Cerrone's aunt or somebody, from what I heard, was that true? That she caught it and she died, I think?
I did not know that. Because of blah, 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 blah. I haven't seen anything on that. But
hold on, I'm gonna Google this real quick.
I just looked up Donald Cerrone coronavirus and I didn't find anything. Let me check Twitter. Maybe the journalist who tweeted it out hasn't wrote the story yet.
That could be wrong, but the point being.
It's Conor McGregor.
Oh, McGregor. Okay, not Cerrone. My bad. Wrong person. I know. It was somebody. Somebody had it.
But he clarified that his aunt did not die from earlier from it was just a tabloid thing or a
Oh, okay.
miscommunication.
Okay. Either way, the point still stands. Your fighters are clearly already being affected. You got two people who just won your last card in your event that was closed indoors who could potentially have been exposed to this. And just the whole like logistics of putting together a card, like all the traveling and like you alluded to earlier, just all the traveling and like contact that you have to do. With this going around, it's just reckless. It's really reckless. It's not worth the potential harm that it's going to cause. I don't understand, and this ain't even just to the UFC at this point. This is to like all of these major corporations, and this is a part of a much larger conversation that we can't have on this podcast because we'd be here forever. Why is it so hard for y'all to just pay people? Like,
because that means less money for them. Dude, like, I can't stress this enough. Like, if you learn anything from this situation, like we as a society, and I like this goes back to like the UFC fighters. Like, we gotta learn our value. That like, just because we're not all like investors and like money men, like that is not where the power lies. Like, this country right now is being held up by nothing but the strength of medical care workers, and people work in grocery stores, man.
Yeah, the people who work like, the trying to think of what people call a lot of the jobs that people look down on, saying that they shouldn't get paid X amount, they shouldn't, get this, they shouldn't have these benefits, they shouldn't do that. These are the people that are keeping this all afloat right now.
That's what's necessary.
Because
the thing that keeps the UFC open isn't Dana White opening his mouth and shit talking fighters every other week. It's people who go out there and like actually put in the work.
Right.
And I really hope everybody learns that, like in all walks of life.
Yeah. We spoke to this in length. We could have recorded, but if y'all could have heard the conversation we had beforehand, we talked about this for a while. If nothing else, and just to wrap this up, this whole thing of them continuing events, it shouldn't happen. We should not be getting. I know we want to see our fights. Blah, blah, blah. Listen, you pay this money for Fight Pass. 80,000 fights on Fight Pass. Go. You ain't seen all of them. Go watch them. Like, go find something else to watch. This is not the time, man. This is not.
Jacare Souza is a top 10 middleweight. He's a fucking elite fighter. He shouldn't have to train in his garage for a fight where he doesn't even know where it's happening.
Yeah. Like, this is like ridiculous. And I'll say, and this. Like we spoke to this earlier before we started recording. This goes for UFC fighters in general, workers in general. When this coronavirus thing, I don't say it's gonna go away. It's a virus. So it's gonna be a thing, but eventually life will even out again. I believe.
Hopefully.
Things will hopefully at some point return back to somewhat of a normalcy, and Corona will just be an extra little thing that we'll just kind of have to be on the lookout for. But when life does get like back to normal, there are a lot of conversations, some very important ones that we are going to start to have. We need to have. We can't hold them off no more, and it goes back to what you said about value. That goes from UFC fighters to working class people, to the guy who's unloading the truck at the grocery store, to the cashier, to the nurse that's working crazy hours in the hospital. We're gonna have some real. I've been joking about this with my coworkers, but you know the team meetings you be having at work that you really never want to go to because they're never really about anything important. Oh nah, when life gets back to normal, we need to have a bunch of these team meetings.
Without the management.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah. I'll just leave it there. We got a lot to talk about. There's some things that need to change.
There's a lot of shit to get angry over.
Yes, some chairs got to get flipped. Some people might have to get screamed at. There are some changes that are going to need to happen. We're really seeing who really is holding what together. And we're also seeing the people who are being stepped on, who don't deserve to be stepped on. So
right.
there are going to be some real important conversations to be had after this is all over. But I guess that's kind of wrap that up unless you got anything else to say other than this situation is just really trash and we don't need any more of these. Like, hold off on all these sporting events, cards. Stop putting people at risk. We gotta shut this down. It's not like it's going away forever. It might be for a little bit, but shut it down. And we're just gonna have to reconvene when we reconvene and kind of get this all figured out. But now is not the time.
Yeah.
Now is not the time.
You know what? Shit. No, I'm gonna save it for. Are we still doing shots and shoutouts?
Yeah.
All right, because I got a bunch actually. So yeah, whatever's next.
So moving on to I guess a slightly more, not really uplifting, but something non-coronavirus related. My one news piece that I wanted to bring to the table before we close out and get out of here. I thought this was pretty important in my little MMA bubble. Michael Chandler, mainstay at Bellator, he's been pretty much the face of that company for God knows how long. Like, when you think of Bellator, he is one of the first, if not the first name that you think of.
He is a natural. I'm not gonna say natural. He is the Bellator fighter.
Yeah.
In the same way that, like, I don't know, Teal Ortiz was back in the day. The UFC fighter. Like,
he's that guy. He is that guy who's holding that flag, who's been waving that flag, who has represented for that company. He's.
And I will say there's no more appropriate a representative of Bellator than Michael Chandler in his weird misshapen career.
Right. But you know what? I've always appreciated Chandler. Albeit, like, especially the last couple of years of his career has been really, really weird. But I always appreciated him because, to me, he represented, the guy that proves that, like, the UFC isn't like the end-all, be-all. Like, you can be a successful MMA fighter and never step foot into the UFC.
I mean, you can tell him that now.
But, like, I always respected the fact that it seemed like, at least from the outside looking in, that Bellator, and from this article that I'll read in a little bit, like, they had a great relationship. Like, he was like their company man. He took care of them. They took care of him. Eventually things happen the way they happen, and then they split eventually. But it doesn't seem like it's like bad blood. But I say that to say that Michael Chandler, long-time Bellator stay, 3-time lightweight champion. His last fight on contract is, I believe, against Benson Henderson, but who knows when that's going to happen now. But if the timetable works out, he is set to be a free agent, I think, in June. And he is going to explore other options. And from the article,
PFL.
I was hurt to see that wasn't one of the options he named. Damn. But it doesn't mean it couldn't happen, though. It doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
What are the other options? Are there? It's like UFC, PFL. Like, did he mention Ryzen?
Well, so I'm reading from Bloody Elbow. This is from Milan Ordonez. So the quote from Michael Chandler is, I think I'm a guy who could go to one championship and finish my trilogy with Eddie Alvarez. He said, or imagine me fighting guys like Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier and putting on fights of the year. And he says, I do think I'm the best guy to solve the puzzle of UFC lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. He goes on to say, I would love nothing more than to finish my career and retire as a Bellator fighter. And I've told that to Scott Coker, but the simple fact is they have a business to run with checks and balances. And I know my wife and son deserve to be taken care of, and I have a calling in life that might require me to go elsewhere. So it seems like he has his eye on the UFC and won. But just the major point is, like, he's a been the staple at Bellator for the longest time. Has put on some classics. Is the first fight with Eddie Alvarez that fight was crazy, man.
Still the best fight Bellator's ever had.
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't argue. It was crazy watching that fight because I didn't know who Chandler was, and I was a big Eddie Alvarez fan. And I remember I hated Chandler at first. I really did.
I mean, that was the whole thing. We all thought like Eddie Alvarez was just gonna run through him.
Yeah. And Chandler, man, he pulled it out. Yeah. That's if you guys haven't seen that, man, that is an amazing fight.
The craziest fucking thing about that fight is that it happened the same day. It kind of got overshadowed because it happened the same day as Hendo Shogun.
Is it me or does that fight? Now I want to make this a whole tangent. When people mention like greatest UFC fight, I don't hear that fight get brought up enough. Their fights were wild. Like,
I think with the UFC, it's just like as your star wanes, so does the magnitude of how good the fight was, I guess. Like the UFC today, March 21st, had their basically 11 hours of broadcasting today. ESPN from noon o'clock Eastern time to 11 o'clock aired the best quote unquote the best fights in UFC history, and they were all recent fights. It was like Israel Adesanya versus
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, versus Gastelum. They had McGregor Diaz
like 3 times.
Yeah.
By the way, like they did UFC top fights number 4 through number 1, and they had what's it call it DJ versus Cejudo 2 up there, like Jones versus Gus, all the fights you would expect to be up there. I think Hendo versus Shogun managed to get up there. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, that was a wild.
But like,
crazy.
Yeah, but like, I think there's a big recency bias when it comes to MMA that you don't see in like boxing, because like boxing fans is just like even if they're just naming like I don't know Hagler versus Hearns, that's still a fight that happened like 40 years ago, 40 years ago. Like everything in MMA is so recent, so I don't know. It takes a little bit of time.
But so I'll just say for Chandler, if he is set to leave Bellator, where would you like to see him go, and what are some fights you would like to see him involved in?
I would like to see him in PFL because I think the UFC would chew him up and spit him out to make a point, because I think that's what they do. I think they like Michael Chandler is a top 15 lightweight still, but I don't think he's in his prime anymore. I think a lot of his game has been based around like a little bit like Kevin Lee, just being like a really superior athlete. And if we're being honest, he is a big 145er, not a actual
not a 155er. Yeah.
So I'd really just like to see him win a lot of money, and bounce. Well, like he does PFL for like a year, and then he gets to do whatever he wants again. But I'd like to see him go fight in one. I just want to see those divisions fill up more, because like one is like they have some good fighters at lightweight, but it's like, oh, you have Demetrius Johnson at flyweight, but like who else do you have? Who's he fighting? Who's Eddie Alvarez fighting? And don't get me wrong, he already lost. We already know that there are guys who can compete with Eddie Alvarez and won. But it's like you want to see a little bit more name value, outside name value, come in and give some of those guys a little bit more credit, I guess. I mean, wherever he goes, he'll go and he'll have entertaining fights because he's Michael Chandler, and Michael Chandler's an entertaining fighter when he gets in there with somebody who he can't just lay on for 5 rounds. It would be really fucked up if he signed with one and they made him fight like Will Brooks. Oh my god! Bare knuckle boxing.
No, 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 no. That is not an option, sir.
It is absolutely, dude. They got an Olympic bronze medalist to do bare knuckle boxing. You think they can't get Michael Chandler?
He ain't a gold medalist. Oh, come on, no. He hasn't hit that stage of his career yet. Nah. He's not there. I ain't gonna let you do that to Chandler. He's not there yet. He's not in his prime anymore, but he's not. Nah.
I mean,
he ain't there yet.
They start cutting them 6-figure checks. You never know what he'll do.
Oh man, please, Chandler, don't do that.
Do whatever you want, Chandler, but do the thing I want you to do.
I don't know. I'm really interested to see where he does go. I'm not mad at the one championship or the PFL route. Obviously with PFL you get a chance to win a mill. I'm down for a Michael Chandler versus Natan Schultz. If we can get that, he might end up running into Marcin Held again. I don't know. I feel like either of those are good options. In a perfect world, I think I would like to see him in one. I feel like just somehow it would be a fun. Even though I don't.
It just feels like he fits there better, you know?
Yeah, like I feel like one for some reason, I think he would be really accepted over there. I think, yeah, like it seems like it would just fit. Albeit, I don't know who exactly he would fight. Obviously you're gonna have to do the Alvarez fight again. You would have to. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they could find some entertaining fights for him. I'll trust one that they'll. It might not be anybody I know or I'm familiar with, but like I feel like at this stage in his career, like the man is a 3-time champ. I'm not necessarily looking for him from this point out to be in like a ton of blockbuster fights, even though he is Michael Chandler. I don't want to see him fight. I just want to see him just be active.
I mean, I will say the fight I would most like to see is that Eddie Alvarez trilogy.
Yeah, we gotta close that out. I'm all for rubber matches, and yeah, you gotta close that out. Yeah, I just feel like one championship is just a good fit for him. So if I had to pick, I would say one. But if I was him, I'd go to PFL. Go get that meal, bruh. Go chase. And with the tournament format, I think he would work well because he actually is a guy who gets finishes. So he'll do well in their little playoff system thing they got going on. We'll see. Well, hold up. He also I would say, cause he cut the 45 to fight what's his name, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Patricio came up. Patricio came up,
yeah.
Okay, never mind. Cause I was gonna say you could potentially go to featherweight, and that might open up a couple more options for you, either in PFL or in one. But I don't know. That could be interesting. Maybe some people in PFL would go up. Chance to fight him. I don't know if anybody's foaming at the mouth for a Lance Palmer Michael Chandler fight, but
is Lance Palmer a 55er?
No, he's 45.
Okay.
He's just a really stocky.
I mean, they're basically built the same. So.
Yeah, they're built kind of the same. But I would like to see him in one. That's the option I would most like to see, but I'll keep an eye on him. I'm really interested to see where he goes. He's been one of those guys. I hope it just sucks in this whole like people treat guys like if you're not in the UFC then you're just kind of a nobody. But I don't want him to be somebody who gets forgotten, because I think he does hold like an important place in the sport as one of those guys who outside of the UFC still saw major success. He was in. Oh, what happened?
So you wanted me to remind you about your call out today. When you get to it, I have news regarding that.
Oh, hold up. I saw something about them earlier. Hold up.
Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say, like Chandler to me represents an important part of this sport. To me, I just looked at him as, like I said, I looked at him as that guy who kind of showed that you can still not be in the UFC and still have a very successful career. Like, he was in commercials, he was a champ, he was somebody who was well respected.
He's got a lifetime membership to Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, and bruh, who in the UFC got that?
Exactly.
You can't go there and get the chicken and waffle sliders for the rest of your life. You got to pay.
I think you got those.
Yeah, you never had those? They're good, man. They come with tater tots. Oh, they're so good. They're so good. Probably a little overpriced, but it's Dave and Buster's, so you know what you gonna do. But man, yeah. Shout out to Michael Chandler though. I'm looking forward. Well wishes to wherever he lands. And I hope we still get to see the Benson Henderson fight. I hope we still get that, but little Corona running around messing the game up, so who knows if that'll happen. But best of luck to Michael Chandler in his future. Looking forward to see where he goes. That's pretty much it. That is pretty much all I have for today's episode. Like I said, this was kind of on the whim. We didn't really plan for this, but like I said, I figured just people would be stranded,
Principal
stuck
is
in
a
the house.
financial company.
No, ad, shut up. I hope you guys didn't hear that. You
But
probably
think of
did.
us as a
Stop. Sorry. But, I know a lot of people stuck in the house, maybe want some content. If I can deliver some content, figure why not. So, it's the episode for you guys, but we're not done yet. Let's go ahead and get to fight recommendations. I actually did manage to get one. My fight recommendation is a fight that I search for on YouTube every so often, and it wasn't there until, let me make sure this is still here. This is a fight that I actually thoroughly enjoyed the first time I saw it. Actually, I remember going over my shout out to Mommy Dave. I went over his house to watch this, and it also I don't think it was as good as the Shogun Hendo fight, but to me, another one of those kind of wild fights that I feel like kind of gets lost in just gets lost in the mix. It might not be an all-time great fight, but it was still just a really good. If you just want something really fun and violent to watch, my fight recommendation is Brian Stann versus Wanderlei Silva.
Hey.
This fight wasn't on YouTube for the longest time. It is on YouTube now. It ain't on the UFC's channel. Don't tell me I told you that. But but it's up there now. If you search it, you can find it. It is there. I searched it and I found it and I rewatched it and I had myself a great time. If you never saw it, man, Wanderlei Silva versus Brian Stann, it's just a fun back and forth, just kind of rock 'em, sock 'em fight. They both get dropped multiple times. It's a lot of hands being thrown. It ain't a whole lot of defense. It's what you would think a Wanderlei Silva and Brian Stann fight would be. Just lots of fun violence, and it ends in a nice, epic fashion. It was a really good time, man. It's a really fun fight. Kind of one of those fights I feel like just kind of gets lost in the sauce when we talk about really great UFC fights. And like I said, it's not an all-time great, but I think it's one of the more like underrated, just great scraps that I don't hear really get mentioned a whole lot.
It's because everybody's still mad that Brian Stann left us with like DC and Dominic Cruz.
Hey, man, he had to do what he had to do. But nah, man, this is, like I said, it's on YouTube now. So if you never saw it, man, is that fight considered like old school now?
When was it? Like 2013?
When did this fight happen? Cause that was on like UFC when it was on like Fuel, I think. This was UFC on Fuel 8. Yeah, this was 2013.
Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of leaning into that old school, like pre-Reebok, back when you could be, wear your personality on your shorts.
You mean back when Wanderlei Silva was still old?
Right. Right. But nah, man, great. It's a really great fight, really fun time. So go watch. That's my fight recommendation. Wanderlei Silva versus Brian Stann. It's a great time.
All right. So, I've been doing nothing but posting fights this week, but it was actually the 30th anniversary of this fight on Tuesday, March 17th. March 17th, 1990. We got the first in a couple. I want to say two. Yeah, two fights between Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Meldrick Taylor. Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year for 1990. It's a legendary fight. A come from behind victory. I won't give spoilers away for who won it, though. I'm sure most people will pick one of the two fighters, even if you've never seen the fight before. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It is a tremendous fight. Absolutely great stuff. A lot of action. Legendary boxers. Yeah, go give it a watch. Fun
There you go.
time.
And like I said, a lot of y'all on lockdown. You probably need some entertainment. We're giving you homework.
Yep.
So
The beauty of being a boxing fan for like old school boxing is that like if it's on a tape somewhere, it's probably up on YouTube and no one's gonna stop. Like no one's gonna take it down. Because
I wish the UFC was like that, man. It's so really MMA. There are a lot of old MMA fights that are so hard to just.
you have to get Fight Pass and then use their terrible search engine to find.
Right.
I found a couple of good ones. I found I actually another fight that I'll recommend though not for the fight so much for the story. Hickson Gracie versus Yuki Nakai in Valley Tula, Japan, 95. I want to say it was. So I'm sure everybody knows what Valley Tula is.
At home.
And I'm sure some of the people who listen to this are familiar with Valley Tula, Japan, which was a one-night tournament held back in the 90s, the mid to late 90s, featuring some of the biggest stars in Japanese MMA and whoever they could get from everywhere else. So Yuki Nakai made it all the way to the finals despite being the smallest fighter in the entire tournament. God, he fought WCW wrestler, Sergeant, what's his face? Colonel. No. But he was also an amateur wrestler, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he fought Gegard Gardeau, the dude from UFC 1 who made it to the finals and lost. Or was it UFC 2? I don't even remember. Okay, I have what I wrote. Blah, blah, blah. Yuki Nakai, a judoka and wrestler during his youth. He picked up catch wrestling under Satoru Sayama, the founder of Shudo, and jumped headfirst into Shudo. He was 7-1-1 when he won the Shudo World welterweight title before entering the tournament. He was the smallest dude in the division, the tournament. His first opponent was UFC 1 finalist Gerard Gordeau, who gouged at Nakai's eye multiple times in the fight. It was so bad that Nakai would be rendered permanently blind in that eye. But he went on to fight. Nakai would still manage to heel hook him a half hour into the fight and advance to the next round. And yes, I said a half hour. They went until somebody got stopped. Yeah, they went until somebody got stopped, basically. Yeah. You either got knocked out, or you submitted, or you gave up, whatever. His next opponent would be Craig Pittman, a man who had over 100 pounds on him. He would go on to submit him as well, if not before taking a lot of damage and getting the crap beat out of him. So he made it all the way to the finals before losing to Hickson Gracie, but it's still one of the exemplary stories in this sport of just fortitude and technique winning out mixed with toughness, but not against Hickson Gracie. It's that Gracie magic. Yeah, so go watch some old school. There is some old school stuff on YouTube. Some, not a lot. You gotta go back to like the 90s. Go watch some Igor Vovchanchin highlights or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's your homework.
Go watch that to knock the shit out of Andrzejowski. And then become a Nazi.
God. That's your homework for the week. But nah, man. Those are our fight recommendations. All right, man. Before we get out of here, as always, we gotta do the parting shots and shout outs. Real quick, once again, before I get to my shot, let me be positive for a little bit. Once again, just shout outs to all the workers out there, everybody out there working retail, keeping the grocery store stocked, cashiers, all the nurses, hospital workers, janitors, just all the real blue collar, just hard working people who are really just kind of holding this all together right now. Big shout outs to you guys. And real quick, shout outs to the I don't got them by name. Shout outs to the companies who are paying their employees in this time. Shout outs to some of the NBA players who are. That's another thing I forgot to mention. Shout outs to the NBA players who are paying like the workers of the arena, even though the owners were like billionaires.
Literally all of them are billionaires.
Yes, and they aren't doing anything except for like Mark Cuban, who I hate. But
also, fucking shots at Jeff Bezos for having like for telling the Whole Food workers that they have to share like personal time.
Yeah.
So they can get off from work.
Yeah, trash, super trash. But like I said, I'll keep it positive because that could go a whole nother discussion. But just shout outs to all the hardworking people, man. We're really just out here, nose to the ground, still working and all the craziness and just really holding us all together. Wish you guys the best, man. We appreciate what you do. And like I said, when this is all over, we get back to normal. Just get to banging and flipping some tables over. We got some got some conversations to be had. But so that's my shout out. Parting shot. GameStop. Oh GameStop. Oh GameStop. Now see, the latest is they tried to retract this, but y'all are still catching the shot. Still unloading the clip. Y'all still gotta get it. So we all know GameStop. If you don't, it's your local neighborhood store where you go buy video games and things of that nature. Albeit it is a place of entertainment. It's a place that I go to buy my games and such most of the time. But in the midst of a virus outbreak, probably not a place that needs to stay open. But don't tell them that. There are so many stories you can hear about GameStop workers being mistreated, and there's a reason that they had to bring in the homie Reggie from Nintendo and a bunch of other people to their board of directors to try to figure out something to do to keep them from going under.
Not a good chance to come on, Reggie.
Reggie, I don't know what you gotten into, bro, because this articles like this are why they had to bring Reggie in, because this is terrible. So we all know the virus is going around, and a bunch of non-essential places are either being ordered to close down or just being encouraged to close down to stop the spread of the virus, so on and so forth. But GameStop, as a few days ago, before they tried to retract this, they said that they should be open because they're essential. Yeah. And I'm reading from this article. I'm reading on CNN. This is written by Shannon Liao. Article states, the company argues it is essential, quote unquote, because it offers mice and keyboards that could help people work from home. GameStop told CNN Business in a state.
Wait, what? You can't just. If they literally just said, because people are going to be bored and they need stuff to do, that would be more essential than what they just said.
Yes, they said because they offer mice and keyboards that could help people work from home. GameStop told CNN Business in a statement that, quote, we are one of many providers of these products and that are remaining open at this time. 8 current employees told CNN Business that GameStop is keeping its stores open to profit off of a video game shopping spree during a global pandemic. They allude to Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing New Horizons, which both of those just dropped. And I believe GameStop dropped Doom Eternal a day early. Several current employees told CNN Business that only select shops carry the kind of equipment that can help people work from home. GameStop primarily carries higher-end PC gaming accessories, not the more affordable and simpler tools that are more suitable for office work. Hold up. Where's the other part of this? Hold up, y'all. It got worse. There was a part in this article that said something about what they should do if they encounter a police officer.
They should just stay open. They should refuse to close. That's what it was.
Why can I not find it? There was something in this article. I'm mad I can't find the paragraph now. But there was something in this article that said GameStop was instructing like its employees that if an officer tried to tell them to shut the store down, to give them a number to like the manager. Here it goes. GameStop sent out an internal memo Thursday to store leaders and other employees saying that it believed its store should be classified as an essential business and remain open during the global pandemic. It told employees in a letter viewed by CNN Business that they should direct law enforcement to call a corporate number if they try to enforce store closures. So GameStop was giving them like a customer service number, like, yeah, I can't shut this down. You gotta go talk to Bob. He gonna tell you why we need to stay open.
Yeah,
that's what GameStop was doing.
I feel like it's what I have to say. I bought a Nintendo Switch from GameStop. Literally the last Nintendo Switch in North Jersey. Like the Sunday before everything went south. So like last Sunday, I literally drove around to like 8 different stores looking for it. It was the last one in their store. I swear to God. But I have an update for you from GameStop.
Oh, I have it. I have pulled up.
Oh, you have it? Oh, go for it.
Oh, yeah, I got that too. Yep.
Go for it.
GameStop since then, they had to walk some of this back because they were wilding out. So this was written. Is this today?
Yes.
What's today? 21st? Okay, yeah, this was written today. Written at 8:12. So this was written like an hour ago. So it says GameStop is temporarily closing all its U.S.-based retail locations and moving to delivery only starting March 22nd, which as of this recording would be tomorrow on Sunday. It's an abrupt reversal for the company, which just a few days ago was defending its decision to keep its stores open, as we just read to you guys. I think it mentioned something about they are going to do. Sherman, the CEO, what's his general name? George Sherman, CEO of GameStop, said that GameStop will provide 80 hours of extra paid time off for eligible employees, while employees not eligible for the additional PTO will receive 2 weeks of extra pay. So they're moving to delivery only and processing orders at a digital only basis. But debacles like this, among a ton of other things that you could read on your own time, there's a reason they had to bring old Reggie over and a bunch of other people.
So you mentioned the update, but you didn't mention part of the reason why we got to this point. It's a very important reason.
Oh.
So, do you know who Tom Wolfe is?
I know that name.
He's the governor of Pennsylvania.
Okay, yeah, I definitely know the name.
So, GameStop refused to close. Pennsylvania went under, order only essential businesses to stay open. GameStop refused to close. So, Tom Wolfe pulled GameStop's business license.
Jeez.
Until I'm reading the sign that they have on their door. Is do not remove the sign. Notice of closure. Notice is hereby given that as of this date, the date of this operating permit license of name of establishment, GameStop is immediately suspended until further notice. Until otherwise notified, do not enter location without proper protective attire, including an N95 respirator mask. GameStop fought the law and the law won.
That's crazy. They can just pull your car like that. Yeah, no, y'all can't. No.
I mean,
Yeah, just no.
I mean, it's absolutely a thing. It's absolutely. So like GameStop has been trying to sell forever, and they can't because nobody's dumb enough to buy a retail gaming store anymore from them. Because GameStop's in, like so when you actually buy a new game from GameStop, I want to say like the split is like they get $3 from it. Like so, if you buy a $60 game, they get like $3 from the entire deal. Where they really make their money is used games. So GameStop is ostensibly a used game store because they don't have to pay anybody. So when you,
why they're always having those deals, buy two get one free.
it's why they only it's why they only give you store credit, and it's why they only give you like $2 in store credit. It's because when you trade in a game, it incentivizes you to spend money on a used game. So, take and with digital online downloading just being so much easier, they're really hurting for business nowadays. So I kind of get why their numbers have probably skyrocketed in the last week from like a boom in sales, just people being like, I'm not gonna have anything to do, might as well go buy that new game.
Right.
I mean, I did it. I can't say I didn't. I did it. I now have a Switch that I didn't have a week ago.
Welcome to the family.
So it's understandable, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. You're not an essential business, GameStop. The internet exists.
Yeah. Go on.
You can just pirate Doom Eternal.
Oh boy. Oh, that's all I have for my part. Shots and shout outs. What you got before we get out of here?
All right. So not so much a shout out, not so much a shot, or definitely not a shot, but so much as a call. So I'm not sure when this whole situation's gonna end. No one is. We're all kind of just walking blind in the dark here. But it's already hurt a lot of people. People have been losing their jobs. Unemployment expected to rise up to 20%, if not higher. A lot of small businesses are hurt. I went to the local comic book store the other day or yesterday, just to I felt something was coming, so I went and bought some stuff before they closed down. Try to get them a little bit of money. So first off, if you're ordering out and your local spot's open, order from your local spot. Don't go to your chain or whatever. Those people are going to be hurting a lot. They're the people whose businesses are going to be hurting. Like, throw them a bone if you can. Keep the money flowing. That's the thing. No, that's the thing. If money stops flowing, like, everybody gets hurt. There's that. But like I said, people have already lost their jobs. We're combat sports guys. Neither one of us trains. But we have appreciation for the people who do train, the fighters that we do enjoy watching. And every gym in the country is basically closed at the moment. And there were a couple dudes who follow me on Tumblr who are currently just sitting at home, who are out of work because they can't do their job because everything's on lockdown. So first up, I want to give them a little shout out. They're trying to do some stuff from home to drum up a little business, and I'm gonna just throw their information out there in case anybody wants to hear. So this the homie Dr. Grayson from Tumblr. That's Dr. Grayson. Name is James. He is a third degree black slash and Junfan Gung Fu. a black sash in Wing Chun Kung Fu, a silver glove in Boxe Francais Savate, a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a purple belt level 6 in combat submission wrestling. He has over 10 years of martial arts experience. He's been teaching for 6 years, and he's offering personalized home workouts and video sessions for martial arts training. His name is James P. You can find him through his email, jkd@gmail.com. You can find him on Instagram at jp_Komodo, Komodo. And he's at 10 slots open if you want to, ask him about either personal workouts or martial arts instruction from home or video call. Give him a shout out if you're interested. I got one other dude who's doing something a little different. So, Mixed Martial Lee on Tumblr, Martial Lee Vegan Roundhouse Kicks on YouTube. Another dude, he's a MMA coach. His gym closed, sitting around at home. So he's putting together workout videos for folks to train to at home. So I'm looking at one now. It's 20-minute kickboxing audio workout, 7 rounds by 2 minutes with 1 minute breaks. If you're somebody who has access to a heavy bag, access to a training partner to do drills with, go throw on one of his videos and follow the instruction. Go give him a follow, subscribe to him on YouTube, Martial Lee Vegan Roundhouse Kicks. Try to support in these tough times. So, all right, there's that. And now I have a shot. K1. K1.
Oh, what do you do?
So, K1 Fiesta is happening. It might be happening. It's happening either this week or today or Tuesday. I can't remember. Kickboxing is weird because it happens during the week. But K1, hold up, I'm gonna pull it up right here. It's in Japanese, but K1 was ordered by the Japanese minister in overseeing actions against corona epidemic to refrain from holding K-Festa 3. K1 will be moving ahead with the card regardless. The fuck, K1? Like, I don't know what the situation is in Japan right now, but like, this ain't worth it.
So they have a whole crowd. They have crowd.
As far as I know.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, okay, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like, oh my god, it's so gross, so fucking gross.
Yeah.
Oh, and while I'm here, shots at Cage Warriors, because we talked about that. We gave them a little mention earlier. Like, what have you heard about the UK's containment policy regarding coronavirus?
Don't know, but I'm assuming because I feel like nobody's is good. So I'm assuming there's probably ain't much different.
So theirs is very different, in fact. So their initial response to the outbreak was that, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create herd immunity by letting everybody get it, and everybody who gets it, who doesn't live, won't pass on their genes, so we'll all eventually just be immune to it. That was basically it.
Yikes.
Yeah. No, they were just like, we're just gonna let people die. I think they started walking back on that a little bit. I think they closed gyms in the country today or yesterday. I don't recall. I'm sure we have a UK listener who'll correct me on everything I'm saying, but Cage Warriors went ahead with their card yesterday. Cage Warriors 133. And they had a crowd and everything, if I remember correctly. Did they have a crowd?
I don't think they had a crowd.
Okay.
But I think it was a closed doors event. But I didn't see the card, but I saw the main event, and when they were bleeding on each other, I was like, ugh. Worth
noting, they also did not test for the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Let's see. The concerns tests Concerns that anybody else in close proximity and potential quarantines for post-fight to limit spreading of the disease. Yeah, none of that. Yeah, fuck you guys. Fuck you, Boylan. Like, what are you doing, Boylan? So, yeah, that happened. I feel like I had another shot, but like shots at Dana White in the UFC brass and Endeavor and all those people.
Yeah, not the time, man, to be trying to. Everybody stay home. This is really easy. Just don't do anything. Go get your essentials. Go back home.
Play video games, watch some movies, do some push-ups or whatever. I don't like read a book. Work on that home project that you always wanted to get started, but like you just never had the time.
All right, read all those books, do some push-ups. You can work out at home. You don't need a gym.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a little corner of your room, you can bust some push-ups. You'll be fine.
Call people. Like if you want to, you can't hang out with your friends. Doesn't mean you can't talk to them. Yeah.
I ain't trying to encourage no bad behavior, but the DMs can be jumping right now. I'm just can't nobody go nowhere. If you ever wanted to take that risk and send that text, you trying to shoot a shot.
I mean, I feel like our response would be, I would, but I'm on quarantine right now.
Yeah, but at least you had an answer. You know, I don't know. You know, good time to communicate with people. Ain't nobody got nothing to do. I've seen a lot of people online who don't normally be people. I've talked to a couple people I ain't talked to in a while. You know, hey man, it's time to communicate. Go out there and go mingle. Go mingle in social media with some people. I think people are a little more receptive now. They don't got nobody to talk to. So, I'm just saying. But you got options, man. That's the moral of the story. You got options. You might be home, but it's not the end of the world, man.
Call your grandparents. Check in on them. Make sure
yeah,
they're
man.
all right.
Checking on your peoples. Make sure your peoples are good. Checking on your friends, your family. You know, shoot some shots, do some push-ups, read some books. If you're a gamer like me, this is the perfect time. Get to cleaning out that backlog. All them games you didn't beat back from like 2015. Yeah, go beat them. Go clean that backlog out. We're running long on time. This was actually a really long episode.
Hey, we got a lot.
we got a lot out. But I think that's good for y'all. I hope it's good for y'all. Like I said, I know a lot of podcasters I follow haven't been able to record because they're in studios and studios shut down and it's a lot going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, man. And be on the lookout. I'm not going to say anything yet because this isn't official, but we have some other ideas of other kinds of content and things that we may do in the upcoming week. Just got to test some things out, so on and so forth. So if you follow either of us on social media, just be on the lookout. We might have something for you guys.
We are doing nothing.
Yeah, it's not a lot going on over here.
So
not
not
a lot going on.
Now we're gonna do everything.
Yeah. Now that I work from home, when I clock out, I don't have to waste time driving home. I'm already here, so I can just go do whatever. But nah, man, that's all we got for today's episode, man. You guys stay safe, stay sanitized, stay clean, wash your hands, stay away from people, but check up on people at the same time. All that good stuff. But as always, man, you can get this podcast to listen. SoundCloud, YouTube, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. Send questions to dojotalkpodcast@yahoo.com. Hit us up on Facebook and Instagram at Dojo Talk Podcast. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, where I have been very active lately, at Serial Sensei. Follow Antaku on Twitter at GC Zeus. Like I said, I don't know when we'll do another episode or if we'll do another one, but I'll extend the life of this podcast a little more just because of the times. If I can provide a temporary escape, provide some little entertainment for some fight fans out there, then I'm willing to do it. So I'm just kind of playing this by ear, just kind of winging it. We'll see how this goes. So be on the lookout. We'll probably have some more stuff coming. But that's all we got for today's episode. You guys stay safe out there. And as always, anytime people are being punched and or kicked in the face, we will be there to talk about it. And until next time, we will catch you guys later.